2-2. It finishes at St. James's Park. A lot to digest. 35 minutes of the first half where Newcastle United showed their supremacy, their midfield dominance, and it looked like it was going to be a very, very long night at the office. But then I think things changed a little bit in the last 15 minutes of the first half. I think we figured out a little bit more about understanding where you're strong and where you're weak. And Romero gets the ball and sticks the ball over the top for the first time in the first half, first time in the game. And we started to get some supremacy. We started to get a little bit of value in the last 15 minutes. And that moment when Romero puts the ball over the top to Brennan Johnson, all of a sudden, Tottenham get the wind in their sails. They start to believe. They have a sustained pressure, a sustained moment in the game where they can get on the ball and actually start to show what they're capable of. There were good performances in there. There were bad performances. We're going to talk about them all now. We went into the break at 0-0 at half time. Second half started much like the first half did, 6 or 7 minutes of Newcastle United, and I was getting a little bit worried. Then Tottenham got back into the game. Again, some really nice performances. Kudus, Muani. I think Brennan Johnson had a decent first half and a decent part of the game, but a decent spell in the game. Wasn't particularly impressed with Pape Sarr. I felt like he was statuesque for large parts. Bentancur once again given the more advanced role of the two, which is surprising to me because Pape Sarr is not the best passer, but he certainly can press and harangue and make things difficult for the midfield battle. But once again, as the game went on, Tottenham started to find themselves getting more involved, getting more on the ball. Pedro Porro, going to split people's minds on this one. I think Pedro Porro, some people will probably acknowledge the things that he did defensively throughout the game, despite constant pressure down his side. His concentration was spot on. He was in the end beaten by Anthony Gordon. There was a worldie of a goal that I thought at the time was probably the end of it. Once they got the lead, was it going to be a little bit too much for Tottenham to really fight back from there against the run, against the wave of pressure from that unbelievable fan base? But you know what we did? We did. Romero stepping up. A guy that I'd criticised for the first half, by the way, because he was making some sloppy decisions. But he got back into the game, got us back into the game. And then we're going to talk about all of these things. I'm just giving you a brief summary right now. But then we were, I believe, robbed of one of the worst decisions I've seen the VAR getting involved in. Bracknell, by the way, Thomas Bracknell having an absolute stinker all night, giving absolutely everything towards Newcastle, who are known for being physical, known for their shithousery, but Thomas Bracknell giving absolutely everything towards Newcastle. And the VAR steps in and gives, for me, what is the most ridiculous and pathetic decision in the world, that Dan Burn, 6'7" Dan Burn, is apparently held up by Bentancur for merely standing in his way, for merely maintaining his position. Is the rule that obvious now that you just, if someone's running at you, you have to get out of the way, otherwise it's a foul? It's an absolute disgrace that was allowed to happen. And you know what? A Tottenham team this season, I think, would have dropped their heads. But for some reason tonight, we fought back, spirited again. When you concede that late, to come back in and to put in a performance like that, there has been some sort of corralling, some sort of momentum generating performance there from Thomas Frank and the team over the last 48 hours, whether it's an us against the world, fuck the fans, fuck the club, whatever it is, I don't care. You put in those sorts of shifts at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the fans will get behind you. Romero, Rombom with a double bomber tonight, off his shin and over their head kick that gets the point. Tonight is more important than the point. Tonight is more about the spirit and the fight back. And I love to see it. And I'm actually proud. I'm proud of the boys for fighting back in that regard. I know some of you are going to say it's absolutely like shit. I've seen people in my own show saying it was a shit show, but I don't think it was. I think Newcastle United is a ridiculously tough place to go and play, and for us to come away with a point in that circumstance, in that regard, for me, it deserves a round of applause. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect, but it's a lot better. And I'm going to bring in the boys right now. I can see Sava's in the background, as is Michael. I'm sure a couple of us will join us as well. I want to say massive thank you to Sava before I bring him in for sending over the raid. Please do smash the like and the subscribe button. Here is Sava and here is Michael. How you doing, Sav? You right, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I thought I can't bother to go another hour on my own, so I'll bring the 1,000 over here. So
I appreciate you, mate.
you
Thank you
can
very
pay
much,
me
buddy.
later. You can pay me later. It's fine.
Well, Michael, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, buddy.
Mate, after that penalty, I'm not fine.
Listen,
I'm not fine after that.
are we all in agreement? It's a disgrace because I don't know. I never
Oh.
know because I don't know the rules. I thought it was a disgrace personally, but
Soft.
soft.
It's not even soft. Like, first of all, I don't think Bentancur was the one fouling. I think he was the one being fouled by. Like, his head was in a headlock, and he got pulled to the ground by a 6'7" Dan Burn, and somehow this is a penalty for Newcastle. Like, I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted by this decision. I don't know. Like,
more importantly, though, we're getting to the specifics of the game, but is this the sort of how did you? Because in my chat, I had half the people saying it's dog shit, and the other half people going, "No, this is really much better." I personally lean towards the latter. I thought the first 35 minutes were as you'd expect away at Newcastle. Tough, ridiculously tough place to play. Their midfield is by far better than ours. They won the midfield battle comfortably, but I thought there was some really just sort of good sort of discipline defensively. Nice moments, nice connectivity in some areas. Certain players are definitely sort of standing out for me. Kolo Muani, I think, looks like a really useful and a big nuisance. Kudus, I thought today, again, was really doing what he does, but being a little bit quicker to release the ball. Sava, what was your overall take, mate?
Yeah, I thought, listen, first of all, really tough place to go. And let's just remember that a lot of people predicted big defeats today. I think a really, really tough place to go. You can see why they don't lose many games there. Man City just went there and lost. Yeah. And to come from 1-0 to 1-1, 2-1 to 2-2 so late, I think this puts to bed the myth, Sean, that they're not playing for him, that he's lost the dressing room. Look, I get it, right? And look, my chat was like your chat, Sean, right? A lot of my chat was very much like much better performance. A lot of my chat are going, oh my God, it's terrible football. Look at the XG. Look, I look at our team going to Newcastle United. I don't expect us to have a lot of shots. I don't expect us to have a lot of attacking football. And what I think we saw in that, especially in the first half, is Newcastle's midfield. The power and technique of their midfield versus ours was through the roof. I just thought it was men v boys. But stay in the game. And that's what we did. We stayed in the game. We worked hard. I thought Danso, by the way, for all those crying about Van der Ven being left out, I thought Danso was absolutely brilliant today.
Aerially, right? Unbelievable in the air.
I thought he was excellent. And look, maybe, listen, Sean, we all know, right? We all know. This means nothing really if we don't go and follow it up with a win to Brentford.
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, that's the moment, that galvanizing moment that a team that are not playing well needs to come away and say, you know what, actually, look, we can mix it. Now, I don't expect performance. You know my opinion, Sean, and I know loads of your chat will disagree with me. I don't rate a lot of our players. I don't expect technical football. I don't expect passing through the channels. I do expect fight, and I do expect them to show that they want to win. And today, I thought they hung on in there. They worked well. I thought the subs did well. I know people will say it was too late. I thought the subs made a really good impact. Tel when he came on. Xavi Simons was lively when he came on. Even Richalison was throwing himself around, being an absolute nuisance as he normally is. Look, a great point at Newcastle. And the negativity I've seen already is unbelievable, man. It's honestly,
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Like I think that it's such a split fan base. Like if you want to see the positives tonight, you can see them. If you want to see the negatives, sure. I mean, like, did Newcastle deserve? I don't think Newcastle deserve. I think they edged it. If anybody deserved to win, if anyone did, it was probably them. But I thought it was gritty.
Well.
I thought we did really well.
We defended well. I thought we really. Can you really remember, like in the first half, there was a couple of shots straight at Vicario. They had a lot of corners, which I thought, by the way, credit where it's due. I thought Vicario was much better tonight at coming out and dealing with the corners. Yep. But other than that, I actually thought we did. I thought we did well from a battling perspective, from hard work. people were going mad at the lineup. I understand why he picked the midfield three he did. I think he wanted the legs to match theirs. But as I said, until we buy better centre mids that control a game, we're not going to have the passing that we want to see. I'll take that all day long. If that makes me a shit fan, I'm a shit fan. But I'm just baffled by the number of people still complaining and moaning at a point away at Newcastle to end a bad run of form. I'm baffled by it, Sean. We should be happy.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think the Spurs fans should be, considering where we've come from.
Yeah.
I thought so. I genuinely feel ashamed now. I predicted 4-0 against us, to be honest.
My chat were telling me you did. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I'm going to get mudded for it probably on whenever. But Michael, welcome. I'll bring in John and Eugene. By the way, welcome to the show, boys. Michael, overall thoughts, mate. Outside of the penalty, I know you've already said the penalty was a disgrace. But what did you think of the overall performance of the team?
Much better than previous performances. Although there were still some things that concerned me. For vast majority of the first half, we didn't take a shot at the target or even any shot at all, which just fuels this narrative about us. Not narrative, it's a fact, right? But that's for the ease of word, let's use it as a narrative, right? It fuels the narrative that we aren't an attacking team and that we struggle to create chances, right? It's kind of weird because I look at our team and it, like, we do things in the final third. It just never ends in a shot. That's a weird thing for me, right? Because I see other teams, I watch other matches, and I see many teams just, taking pot shots, just trying to at least work the keeper. Whereas I feel like sometimes with us, it's more about just spamming crosses. Nobody gets at the end of them, especially when you play against a team like Newcastle with like 4 guys over 2 meters tall, right? It's really hard to.
I had no idea how big that Miley is. Miley's a fucking unit, isn't he? I thought I didn't.
Miley, written like Joe Linton, Bern, Thiaw, Voltemade, all of them. They are really like massive, tall. It's really hard to win headers against them, right? So you would expect us to play more of the ball at the ground, right, and try to work through them because they aren't the most mobile out there. But unfortunately, we didn't. So yes, what I want to say basically is there were still worrying patterns in the match. I think it was a much better performance, but it wasn't like a great performance. If you get what my drift, right? Like I am extremely happy with a point at Newcastle, right? I've always said I think Newcastle away is one of the toughest places to go. This season, maybe not so much. They aren't as good as they were in the previous 2 seasons, but still they are a bloody good team with some players that are much better than ours, right? So I think a point is great, although the performances could be better, right? I think we need to work the opposition keeper more. I think we have a lot of possession from time to time, and we just do nothing with it, right? But it's as I said, it's the same pattern as in previous matches.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of split. You're a little bit more concerned than I am. I think that from where we were going into this, coming out.
Yeah, as I said, it's much better than Arsenal and Chelsea, right? Don't get me wrong, and Fulham. It's much better than those games, right? But I still see some concerning things in the performance today.
Yeah, but it's against like Newcastle United. Newcastle. I was looking at someone's doing some combined 11s. Eugene, I'll bring you in. Like the combined 11 between the two teams. Van der Ven maybe gets in ahead of possibly, Dan Burn, maybe, right? Probably. And then maybe Kudus gets in ahead of Anthony Elanga. But apart from that, I kind of feel like Newcastle's 11 get the other 9 spots. So to battle in that regard in a physical encounter. And by the way, we haven't mentioned it yet. I'll let you go, Eugene. I thought Tottenham they were fucking physical in the first 45. They really went into every challenge going into it, trying to sort of put the foot on, trying to get stuck in, trying to level out the not become a pushover. I do think we lost the midfield battle, but I thought that we gave it a good shot, and it's difficult to do that against, as Michael was saying, right, against giants. Yeah. Anyway, Eugene, what's your take, mate? Good to see you.
Hey man, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know what you're seeing. It's a great point away. Newcastle is a tough place to go, but let's be honest, they're not a great team this season. And I mean, 2 shots on goal. Every game it takes a worldie for us to score a goal. 2 shots on goal, 2 goals by center back. Again, same mistakes, giving up a goal from edge of the box as we do in every single game. Nothing through the midfield. Everything again, it's like just the same spam it to Kudus. Udogie and Porro were shocking. Our midfield was terrible. I mean, we got away with it. Obviously, it was a terrible call. I would take a point all day. However, again, like in the beginning of the season, that point, it papers over the cracks. The performance, like no shots in the first half, no shots on goal in the first half. Our center backs score the goals. As we said before in previous games, unless it's a worldie, we can barely score a goal. That Romero bicycle kick at the end, great goal. But let's be real, like
it was a worldie that move, that their first goal was unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's edge, but we give up that goal every single game, right? Edge of the box.
Not like that. We don't. We do give up edge of the box goals, but not like that. That goal was well worked. There was nothing we could do about that.
But not a bicycle kick by center back. Like again, we rely on Romero.
Can I just put a point in there? Sorry, just quickly, because if we're just going to make things up, then I'm going to have to rebuttal it. For a team that don't score many goals, only the top 3 in the Premier League have scored more than us. So if we've got problems,
here we go again, Sava.
What do you mean? Here we go again. That's a fact. Only Man City, Arsenal, and Chelsea have scored more goals than Tottenham Hotspur. Like you're saying, we don't score goals, but we are scoring goals.
There was a stat. It's a 4th straight game with no shots on goal in the first half, I believe. Like we're setting records. We're setting records for like the worst XG in the Prem history.
That's not what you
Every
said.
single game,
you said we're not scoring goals.
Sava, we scored set piece goals at the beginning of the season and own goals. And as I was telling you, since then,
that's not
we cannot get 2 shots on goal. What do you mean it's not true? We cannot get shots on goal, Sava.
Eugene, 3 teams have scored more goals than us, right? And this notion, but you're shaking your head, that's a fact. Only 3 teams have scored more goals than us. And this notion that we only score from set pieces, go and actually look at the stats and the data, right? It's not true. Like it's when people go long throw again. We've not scored a single goal from a long throw, right? So which one is it? Have we scored the best amount of goals in the league, or have we not? I think it's credit to Frank that we've scored that many with this lack of technical ability in our team. But how are you upset at a point away at Newcastle? I
find it difficult.
So, okay, if we go by stats,
people in the chat,
Newcastle's velocity in the table. Are we saying that they're a crap team?
Look at them at home. They're fantastic at home for the last 2 years, mate. How many teams go to Newcastle and win?
Again,
Newcastle ain't an easy place.
It's context.
Newcastle ain't easy.
Sorry?
In Newcastle away aren't easy. Sorry, Eugene, finish your point.
That's what
I'm saying. Saying that we score goals because we're 3rd in goals scored, given the way we've been playing for the past couple of months, is crazy. We can barely get
it's a
2 shots on goal in each game.
We're 4th highest goal scorer.
How is that crazy? Can tell me what part of us being the 4th highest goal scorers I said that's wrong? Not what you feel. Tell me what's factually wrong about what I've said.
I'm going to have to pull up after the first 4 games of the season. I'm going to have to look at the stats. Because again, we cannot...
But look, what stats? You said we don't score goals. Only 3 teams in this country have scored more than us. And that is the best 3 teams in the country. So if we're shit in front of goal, we've got fans going, I want Glasner, I want Iriola, we've scored more than all these managers.
I guess I'm not... My eyes are lying to me.
Let me give you a minute, mate, to kind of to figure out a rebuttal because
I don't need a rebuttal, Jean. We're using our eyes. After the first 4 games of the season, we are setting records for futility in shots on goal. How many goals have we scored in the last?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is right. I think we have a 50% conversion ratio. I think for every 2 shots on goal we take, 1 of them goes in. So we're clinical in that regard. We are clinical, and maybe you can make the argument that we're not creating enough. I mean, definitely that's a fair argument because if that conversion rate drops, then obviously so does the goals scored. And look, it's not obviously the bigger picture, Eugene. I don't disagree with you on the bigger picture, but to sit there and
I
say
agree.
that, and I see loads of people in the chat, right? I see Danny Kiriakou saying tonight, I don't know what game you were watching, Sean, Saba, the game we were fucking terrible. I don't know what game you were watching. It's Newcastle United. Let me bring in John. John, welcome. I think it's your debut on. I know you're a regular on Rabbit Hole, but it's your debut on the channel, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I'm popping my cherry on this one, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Nice.
Evening,
Congratulations,
guys.
buddy.
Thank
Hope
you.
It's not painful.
A little bit, but yeah, well, ease me in and I'll be all right.
What's your overall thoughts, mate? Are you leaning towards the positive, or are you leaning towards the negative on this one?
I am agreeing with you and Sava on this one. I think if there was ever a game where I was going to put everything I own, like on black on red on the roulette wheel, this would have been the one where we'd get our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
The fight that should be there in every game, that should be a standard. That type of battling, that type of effort, no matter who's in the first 11, it should be that way every game. I thought Danso was really good tonight. Porro, I think that was his best defensive performance. It showed, I think, that younger energy in the midfield. I do agree with everyone who says we don't create anything. There's no through the lines. Every phase of play looks quite random. There's nothing where you can hang your hat on and say, this is how Frank is playing. Each game is a bit of a toss-up of like, what's going to happen? Because after the performance against Fulham, and now seeing this, it's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. It just really baffles me. Yes, I'm ecstatic with a point, and I thought Newcastle were shocking tonight. They had a couple of moments of magic. That goal from Guimaraes was really good. That was a lovely strike. And yes, we do concede those types of goals. Penalty, they should never have had. We all know that. I think even their fans would have admitted to that one.
Oh, mate, I fucking hope that Chris comes on. I'll put out a specific invite to him to come on. And he always defends every refereeing decision. I wanted to hear this one. He's got to justify this one.
Yeah. That midfield, that Newcastle midfield, like Sava said, that compared to our midfield is men versus boys. But that's on, when they say on paper. But we look at that match tonight, you would never know that midfield has generally been dominating nearly every other midfield in terms of physicality. Apart from a couple of things Sandro Tonali did out wide, they didn't really look like they were superior to our boys physically. It didn't look like a lot of difference. But it just still worries me. There's no patterns of play. There's no consistency in the build-up. There's no playing through the lines. There's nothing where you think, well, I think something's going to be created here. They're just random moments. I mean, Romero getting 2 goals, that second goal was just a complete...
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when it went in. I don't think the players could believe it either, John. I think all the players were like, what the fuck? What's just happened?
Yeah, it looked like slow motion.
Yeah,
I mean, to catch it on your shin like that, the ball is not coming in at speed. So it looked like it was just bouncing through the crowd, and they all just turned and like watched it go in as if it was like part of the script. That's the thing with this team. They could come out on the next game against Brentford and get absolutely walloped. It's just completely random for me right now. I just don't trust this guy in the long term.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's interesting, right? So I put a poll out. I'll come to you now, Dan, in a second. But I put a poll out before the game started, saying if Tottenham don't lose tonight, will it affect your opinion of Thomas Frank? Like, if we get a point or if we win, will it affect your opinion of Thomas Frank? And it was 80% no, 20% yes. So most people are already, according to my chat, and there was like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 votes on it or something. Seems like most people have, to some degree, already picked their side on that one. John, are you able to be won over by Thomas Frank, or would you be happy if he was gone already?
And for me, he has no signature. I can't look at what he's doing and say he's playing that way. He's not playing the Brentford way. Harry set up at Brentford, where he had Damsgaard as a playmaker, and he had holding midfielders behind him, and he let Damsgaard play as a free role. There's just, I know we don't have Maddison, Kulusevski, but it's just like I just can't see anything. What what the intentions here. What's the signature? You know, every manager before has had a signature where you know how they played. This Thomas Frank signature is non-existent.
Yeah, but it might develop over time. I genuinely do think it's been. I'm not changing my tune on him, but I'm still Franked out. Right, I'm not Frank in, not Frank out. I haven't got a strong opinion on this one yet, but I think that it's incredibly difficult for him to be able to put a signature on it when he's playing 2 games a week. I think that as Christmas passes by, there's like a relatively low fixture load in December compared to most seasons, and so I hope he gets more time on the training ground to pick a formation and build from it. But for the time being, I agree with you. There is no signature, but I'd also say that, you know, I'm not judging it until he's had enough time to move from pencil to pen, because at the moment I think that he's trying a lot, tinkering too much potentially. Another iteration of it tonight, by the way, another iteration of a starting 11 we haven't seen before. And we'll come to the players individually in a second. But like I say, I think that tonight, I think for me, he buys a reprieve. Dan, I want to bring you in, mate. Welcome to the stream, mate. Give me your thoughts. Which way do you lean on this one?
I think there's 2 ways you can look at the game. Do I think we played good football in that game? Not at all. First 30 minutes, I thought they was all over us and we looked a complete and utter mess. I think 10 minutes of the first half, the last 10 minutes, we actually started getting into the game a bit more. On the second half, again, I think they definitely played the better football than us, but you could see there was some fight there. There was some passion there. This is what I mean when I talk about I want to see players get stuck into a game. I don't mean take people's kneecaps off, but I want to see them get stuck into a game, want to play the game, want to try and win the game or get something out of the game or not get embarrassed in the game. And I think that's what we did in the second half. I mean, Romero's first goal for me, that, do I say world-class head? That weren't far from a world-class diving header as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I've seen many better. His second goal, I think that just had a bit of everything. It looked good in one way, it looked lucky in another, it looked messy in another. At the end of the day, it went in the back of the net, so I couldn't care less. But football-wise, no, I don't think we had a good game, but showing a bit of fight, showing a bit of passion, getting stuck in, wanting to get something out of the game, showing some spirit, yes, I think we had a good game in that aspect. So football-wise, no, I don't think we played well. But with a bit of passion, mentality, stuck in, everything I've said, I think we had a good game. I think that's the 2 ways I see it on there. Do I think we deserve a draw? Yeah, I do, because that penalty, that was as snide as a penalty can be. How that was ever a penalty, I do not know. If that's what penalties are now, then the game's ruined as far as I'm concerned. That was never, ever a penalty. But yeah, football, not good. Passion, mentality, I think was good. I think we deserved the draw. And to go to Newcastle, last bit I say on it, and get a draw, you've done something right there, one way or another. Whether they screwed up or you got... Newcastle is a hard place to go. So fair play. It's what I've been asking for. Get stuck into a game.
Yeah, I don't disagree, mate. I'm so surprised and positively surprised. You know, I've been fairly harsh on Thomas Frank. I've lent a little bit towards Stell's way over the last because he's been very harsh, but I think some of the things he said have been inarguable. However, like I say, I haven't picked the side. I'm certainly not agendering at all. I'm going to call it as I see it. And I think on tonight's show, I think he's earned himself a pat on the back. I think the players, and we'll go through the players in a second. I want to get everyone's take on individual players and also whether they think that the actual formation we went with was the right one. Just let me get a couple of super chats done here because there's a few building up and then we can get back into it. Savra, I'll bring you in next. Ulrika Kakaka Ratatata says, thought the VAR review was for Voltemade red card. Do you know what? I actually I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I was like, what's going on here? And as soon, I just, you know what, we'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it in a second. But for me, it's a joke. Thank you, Ulrika, for the super chat. Rob Brown has started the super sticker train. Big up to you, Rob Brown. You know what happens when you start the train, you get the choo-choo sound. Choo-choo. Big up to you. Thank you very much indeed. I learned the super sticker train thing from Rob, and it's been from Saba, and it's been an incredibly useful tool. Big up to you, Rob. Thank you very much indeed, my man. A user says, Dan Burn got burnt with Romero's second goal. Come on, you Spurs. Do you know what? Another little individual thing I want to give credit for. Berghvall stuck one on Joel Linton tonight. And I love to see it because Joel Linton, the first time he saw it come up against Berghvall, he elbowed Berghvall when he was 18 years old. And it meant like a real bullyish thing. And Berghvall went into him tonight in the early part of the second half. And I loved it. I was like, big up to you, Berghvall.
Yeah,
Devlin.
Sorry.
What's
Sorry, Sean, go on. Go on. Sorry, I forgot you are doing super chat. Sorry.
If you quickly want to say about the Berghvall thing, you see it as well?
Generally, I want to back what Dan said, and I really liked it today that we didn't get bullied, because I sometimes jokingly say that Newcastle take the word football and use it as an Americanized way to say, like, you know, their counterpart of rugby, right? This is what they play at. That's how I look at it, right? So today we didn't get bullied. I liked it. I like the fact that we showed some passion and some aggression, actually. Although, like, some of the decisions from the referee, not only the penalty, but some of the fouls that he was giving and he wasn't giving for us. Let me not speak. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. Let me get rid of this fucking overlays. Overlays fucking ruining the show. All right, big up to you, Stel. Welcome in, mate. You know, this is your debut on the channel. Might be your debut on the channel, mate. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Not your debut. Well,
yeah. Evening, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Big up the chat. Big up to Chris in the chat as well, who just is firing bullets at me before I even came on. Thank you, Chris.
Listen, I'm interested to hear your take in a minute, mate, because it's going to be fascinating. Blaine, big up to you, Blaine Devlin. He says, battling draw, but I'm going to call out Frank. 70 minutes before changes, hooking Berghvall out, our best player on the night, instead of Bentancur. I'm still really baffled by his tactics, but he'll take the draw. Yeah, you know what, Blaine? I thought Berghvall was our best midfielder, and I've got question marks around why it was that Bentancur was allowed to push and Pape Sarr was meant to stay deeper. We'll come to that. Let the panel decide on that one. Big up to you, man. Thank you very much. And I think, a lot of people in the chat were saying we needed subs before we did. Once again, maybe it was too late, but maybe it wasn't in the end. We got the draw. Big up to you, Blaine. Thank you so much, mate. And then Rob Brown, big up to you, Rob. He says, we have a real problem with some fans having no patience. Frank's not perfect, but we've had so many managers. I just want us to commit to one and see what we can do. Do you know what, mate? I think that if he can get the team to put on a performance like this at home, I think that the fans will come around. The fans will definitely come around. I think the fans are just right now, they're on edge because there's nothing to really get behind. And as much as they do okay away from home, there's only a few thousand people. Fair play to them, by the way. Lubo, for example, up there tonight. Fair play to the guys for going up and doing that long fucking trek after what they've seen. And I hope that the fans feel rewarded with a decent, gritty performance. But as I say, judging by the chat, not everyone feels that way. Big up to you, Rob. Thank you very much for the generous super chat. Blaine's come back in again. Very generous, Blaino. He says, lads, facts here. And I'm backing Eugene. Our XG is 1.12 this season, and we've scored 1.62 on average. We're outperforming what should be the case, i.e., we're not creating the chances.
By the way, can I just say, I never argued against this. I just gave the headline fact that only 3 teams have scored more than us. I didn't argue that. I never said we created loads. We are the 4th top goal scorers in the Premier League. That's a fact. Whether we like it or not, whatever meat you want to put on the bones, we are the 4th top goal scorers. And it can only get better, I think, as we go, hopefully, as we buy better players. I think that will just get better and better.
Yeah, one thing for sure, we are clinical. I saw the stat earlier. For every 2 shots on target, 1 of them goes in. So that can go one of 2 ways. If we stop taking shots, then we're going to score fewer. But if we can continue that kind of ratio, and then we can find ways to shoot more, it could be really good. Big up to you, Blaine. No, mate, love you for coming in with the your own opinions and the stats and the facts as well, mate. Big up to you. And again, mate, big up to you again. You've gifted 10 Spurs Talk Show memberships. Unbelievable generosity, Blaino. Guys, if you were the recipient of one of them, please do say a big thank you to Blaino. Poor guy's just bought a half-year season ticket at Tottenham. And so he's now starting his points tally, but he's picked it. I think he had the buyer's remorse. Maybe after tonight, you're getting a better vibe about Saturday, Blaino. Can't wait to see you, mate. Thank you again, buddy. Very generous. Robert Palmer says Burn grabbed him as much as the other way around. Frank needs 10 to 15. Frank needs 10 to 15 points now. Are you saying in order to get the fans?
10 out of 15. 10 out of 15.
10 out of 15
next
points.
5, right?
Okay.
Probably that's
so 3 wins and a draw out of the next 5. Okay, we'll have a look at that. I don't know who the fixtures are. We'll have a look at that in a second. Big up to you. Adam Horler, big up to you. Adam, he says, support our yids, smash the like and sub, guys. Yes, please do. And also get over to I'll put all the channels in the chat in a minute of everyone that's on here. I appreciate everyone for coming in for the chinwag. Big up to you, Adam. Thank you so much, mate. And Marek N. Big up to you, Marek, as well. Everyone's so generous tonight. Love it. So nice. Really appreciate you. Good game. We were aggressive. Showing a bit of fight is nice, but isn't it just a baseline? I think that's the takeaway, right? It has to be the baseline, like the bare minimum expectation, non-negotiable, right? Deliver that, and then good things can happen. If you don't start with a fight and passion, then you're never going to get away with anything. I mean, look at Fulham tonight. They were 5-1 down, and they came back and almost clawed it back. Unbelievable stuff. And then thank you, Marek. Thank you to all of you guys. Unbelievably generous. Stel, what did you think of the game, my man?
Positives and negatives. It's a weird one because everyone predicted we were going to get smashed and battered, and we didn't. So from that point of view, you've got to say that we've done something a lot of teams haven't, which is to go and get a point at St James's Park. They've only dropped points in 3 games this year at home in Newcastle: Barcelona, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And they were down to 10 men against Liverpool. So we're the only team to rock up there that aren't in that top 3 echelon of global football to get something from the game, which further confirms that people that go around saying these players are crap, they're not good enough, it's a fallacy. They are better than what we're seeing. There is no doubt about it. We saw it tonight. How many teams are going to go to St James's Park and get a point? So the positive for me is we didn't get battered. We took a point, and the players once again proved that they can, if they work hard, if they put fight and effort into a game, can get something out of it. There's no doubt about it. I think it's just an excuse to keep slamming the players every time we lose a game. I don't buy that. Another positive tonight was I personally, it's just my opinion, I thought that wasn't a penalty. I really can't buy into the fact that the referee, how VAR even said, go look at that. It wasn't clear and obvious. It's ridiculous. But what I will say is, if you go back and look at it, not once was Bentancur looking at the ball. So on that basis, you kind of say, all right.
Why can't you just stand your ground?
Sean, I don't think it was a penalty. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to be objective in the sense of why did they give it then? The only thing I could possibly think of is he wasn't looking at the ball. But even then, I don't think it's a penalty because to me, it looked like got the player that was fouled. It looked to me like he was clawing all over him and like pulling him just as much as he was pulling.
In every single corner that I've ever seen in the Premier League in the history of my life, there are players that are holding it. They're hugging and cuddling each other and pulling on each other to pick out individual moments. Like there was probably 4 other players in that particular corner that were also guilty of holding. It's just, it's mental. It's a mental decision to me.
Listen, can I just finish quickly what I was going to say, Michael? Because I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. Right.
Yeah, go for it.
By the way, people in the chat saying, is this an imposter? If you watch enough of me, guys, you'll see I say it as it is. I've always said it. I say it as this is what I saw tonight. This is what I'm saying. The other positive as well was we came back twice from a losing position. And Romero once again showed that in big moments he does step up. I've got to say his bicycle kick is the greatest, worst bicycle kick in the history of football.
Try me, Ibrahimovic.
Unlike Salmon, it was an exquisite piece of shin-housery. It trickled slowly in, but mate, what a goal! Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. That's crazy. So for me, there's a lot of positives.
Did you see him taking the piss out of Bruno Guimaraes?
Yeah. I love that shit.
Of course they're not. One of the Brazilians.
So I'll wrap it up quickly because I know there's lots of people that want to speak. So there are some positives, but this means nothing if we do what we did, like we did in the Carabao Cup and against PSG, where we showed that there's something there, and then we followed it up with the Chelsea game. We followed it up with the game against Fulham. You have to go and beat Brentford now. Otherwise, tonight, it's a fucking waste of time and we're back to square one with it. So go and build on it now. The negative for me, the biggest negative tonight was I thought our overall general play was absolute bollocks. I thought the style of play, the defensive, negative way that we go about games, I can't stand it. And I don't put it down just to poor players. It's the way we are drilled to go into games at the moment. So I take positives, I take negatives. Listen, if you said to me, would you take a 2-2 draw before the game? Fuck yeah, all day long. So take the point, man. It's a good point for Tottenham tonight. It's a good point.
Yeah, appreciate you still. Saba, let me bring you back in. Any particular standout performances on the positive and negatives? For me, I found myself bemoaning Pape Sarr for most of the game. I thought he was really poor.
Can I just say, listen, first of all, I just want to say this whole thing about the players showing they are good enough. I think there's a huge difference showing that you've got effort and fight versus showing your technical quality, right? There's a massive difference in players doing that. And I think, again, we saw, Sean, I've said this last season, season four, said it this season. We have got a really poor set of midfielders in terms of technical ability, putting the foot on the ball and controlling a game. We've got no one at the football club that can do it. Not one player at the football club can do it. And that's why I think we're always better on the transition than we actually are when we have to control. So a lot of our good movements today came where we went quickly through the midfield and got it out wide. I don't doubt that the players are good enough to show effort and passion and fight. But if we're going to look honestly, technically, Sarr, technically Bentancur, technically Gray, like these players are not good enough if you want to go to the next level and you want to play good football. Like we can say it's Frank and the way he sets up. We've seen this under how many managers with these players, that the technical ability on the ball is not there, right? You saw it today. Look at Tonali on that football. When Tonali gets I'm not saying he was amazing today. When Tonali gets it, time, space, picks his pass, knows what he's going to do next. Sarr gets it. Sarr, and by the way, this has been ever since we've had Sarr. He looks surprised when he's got the ball in midfield. Like he works hard on that, but he looks surprised. He's like, oh my God, I've got the ball. I don't know what to do with it. Right? Berghvall. I think Berghvall does some good stuff when he's running, but as a player that stop, put your foot on it, we don't have that type of player. Yeah? Johnson. No, he's not good enough. Johnson was part of the team. No, he's not good enough. Right? Porro for me. I question Udogie. Not good.
Do you think Porro had a bad game, did you? Do you think Porro was had a bad one?
I think Porro was okay, but he was better than Udogie.
I just think that. Do you think like the amount of
had a number of mares in a row? He looks dreadful.
Sure. Can I push back on this a little bit?
Of course, yeah.
I don't disagree with Sava. We lack technical ability to be in that top 5, top 6 group of teams. 100%. This team is not at that level. We need technical players, better decision makers, but we have got enough technical ability to be beating Fulham, Wolves, not being dunked on by Bodo Glimt. I know it's what I'm saying, Sava. It's what I'm saying. I know you never said that. It's what I'm saying.
I know, but that's where this frustrating. You come from this angle.
I know you never said that.
Playing good football still. Do we have the players to play good football?
Against Fulham, Wolves, Bodo Glimt, yes, we do. And I'll list you who I think are technically good enough. Van der Ven, Romero, Kudus, Mwani, Berghvall. That's 6 players right there that have got technical ability.
Not the engine room where a game is dictated. So I think
Paulinho is competent on the ball, but not someone that can spread amazing passes like Declan Rice and travel with it. But he's competent.
Romero's the best passer in our team.
Yeah, he is absolutely one of. Yeah, I think if we were coached to play a certain way, I think there's enough there to show me better than what I've seen this season. Do I think we can go toe to toe with Chelsea, Arsenal, Villas, all these teams? No, I don't. Not technically. But I've seen enough from these players to know that from the performances, the way we play football, it's been better than what I've seen this season. Maybe little changes as the season goes on. That's just my thoughts.
I agree with Stel there, though. I mean, with the team we've got there, I mean, he's right. We ain't better than Chelsea, Arsenal, stuff like that. But after what you see today, you think, well, you got the balls out today and manned up today. Why couldn't you do it for Arsenal or Chelsea? That's questions people ask. But that team has enough technical ability, quality, whatever you want to put it as, to go and beat bloody Bodo Glimt,
no,
as far as I'm concerned.
Both of you haven't listened to what I've said. That's not...
But no one's repeating what you said. I'm just agreeing with... No one's even talking about what you said. I'm just agreeing with Stel that I think there's enough technicality in the team to beat teams like Bodo Glimt and should be giving a better game overall against Fulham. I'm just agreeing. No one said anything you said.
But Stel said, I'm going to push back on Sava's point and then made a different point. That's not what I said. I've not got any doubt. I keep hearing this from YouTubers when I watch this. No one's saying we shouldn't beat Wolves or Fulham. No one said that. My point is, if you want to see a nice game where we have ball possession, where the passing's nice and crisp, you've got to buy players that play that way. And the fact that when the list of players was named, not one central midfielder was named, i.e. the engine room, i.e. where Chelsea play from, Arsenal play from, City play from.
We're not even attempting Saba.
My issue is... Sorry, go on, Eugene. Go on, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, if the players are in positions and attempting those passes, you can say they're not good enough. We're not even attempting those passes. Players are not even in position to try line breaking passes.
No, I don't know, Eugene, I disagree. In the first 30 minutes, I remember I was getting really irate because I thought the first half an hour we were absolutely appalling. Every time we won the ball back, we were trying to spray the ball forward, but they were getting picked off every single time. And also what frustrated me was the slowness, the lack of pace in which we were trying to break. Every time we would get the ball forward, Newcastle would just put their bank of 4, bank of 5 and a bank of 1. And then we were still trying to spray it through with people like Bentancur trying to pop it through, those sorts of players. And it was just getting picked off. It was only around the 36-7 minute mark that Romero, I said it in the first, my monologue at the start, Romero picked the ball up and decided to go, fuck the midfield, I'm going to go over the top. And he put it over the top to, I think it was to Brennan Johnson. And then Brennan Johnson he went on a charge and then managed to pull it back and nothing came from it. But I was like, that's what we got to do, right? We've got to, like, if you're losing the midfield battle, then just like go over the top. Just avoid the midfield battle.
Clarify, right? I just want to clarify, right? My point is that this always gets misconstrued when I say this, and this is so frustrating. I'm not talking about players making a pass, Sean, right? So when Eugene's going, oh, we didn't try that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we don't have a player that naturally dictates a game of football, right? We've had this chat many a times. We don't have what many other teams around us have. Newcastle have Tonali and Guimaraes that can both do it. Chelsea have Arsenal have Zubimendi and Rice that can both do it, right? Man City have Rodri and the other one.
That's why we're not a top 6 side.
Hang on. Right. So my point is, whatever midfield combination we play, because none of them, it's their natural game. Not that they can't ever pass a ball, Sean. It's not like I'm going, Sarr makes 100 passes and 100 of them go wide.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Just not consistently good enough. Yeah,
naturally gets the ball and says, you know what? I'm going to take it off the back 4 and I'm the one that can spread it right, spread it left, spread it forward. We don't have those players. Sarr is a runner.
We might do in Xavi Simons, but he never fucking gets on the pitch.
No, but centre mid. I'm talking about a centre mid.
Right.
I'm not playmaker.
Okay.
Centre mid.
Fair enough.
And if Spurs get that player, an Edison, an Angelo Stiller, an Adam Wharton, right? If we go a Gomez and Neves, if you get one of those in midfield,
well, let me ask this, Sava. In the meantime, if you watch last season, James Maddison was playing our 10 role last season, but he came deep so many times into the deep line playmaker role, probably because of that acknowledgement, right? That he's the only one who can pass the ball. So he was coming deep to pick the ball up and trying his best. Now it didn't always work out because, we were threading it into kind of, into channels that weren't really available. But is there any option? Is there any potential possibility that for Xavi Simons to have more of an impact on a game, rather than waiting for the ball to get fed to him by players that can't do it, he should drop deep, pick the ball up, and then work in that kind of zone a little bit further back in the pitch?
Yeah, look, I'll say this and then I'm going to bugger off. I think a lot of your chat are completely getting confused with what I'm saying. I believe I was the positive one about the result tonight, and now I'm being told I'm the negative one. I'm not. I'm just saying I don't expect great football from Spurs. I think that there is something for that in the future, Sean. I think that Simons right now wouldn't have the physicality or the experience to drop into that centre mid and play that role right now, but in the future, definitely. But again, the passing of someone like James Maddison, watch that boy's passing, then look at the rest of our players pass the football. I agree with what Stel's saying. I agree with him. We should be beating Wolves or Fulham or one of them or both of them, whatever. I agree with him. That wasn't my point, right? It wasn't at all. It's if you want to be a really good team, most of these teams, look at one of the first things Eddie Howe went out and done. he bought midfielders that are comfortable on the ball and play. Most managers start with that. The last 4 or 5 midfielders that Tottenham have brought into the club have not been that. They've all been workhorses or runners. Bissouma is a workhorse. Berghvall is a runner. Sarr is a runner. Paulinho is a destroyer. We've not gone out and gone, he's the number 8, a Dembele, a Modric, a Carrick. I just think when we get that, we're going to see much better football. I really do. I don't think that's negative to say. I think that.
Do you know what's confusing though? Just for me, what I find confusing, not something that you've actually said, but what I hear from a lot of other fans is, you talk about, your opinion is managers should go and get that ball playing midfielder. That's the first thing you do. What I've been told by people I go on YouTube with on a regular basis is the attack can't work because Frank fixes the defence first and he makes us defensively solid first. And once that's fixed, then he'll work on the rest because he can't do it all at once. So I say, okay, well, fair enough. If that's what Frank does, not that I think they know what Frank does. I think it's an opinion, but I've heard it from so many people. Frank's had all his defenders fit this year. Romero, Danzo, Van der Ven, Udogie, Spence, Porro. Most of them fit. Maybe one's been out, then the other one's been available. So there's not been no big injury crisis there. And he's had Paulinho. So defensive-wise, he's had all his choices. Yet week in, week out, I look at us and I say, my God, we're defensively shocking. So
you know why?
What is Frank trying to do in the initial phase, in your opinion? Because I've heard so many things, and then when I watch us play, the things I'm hearing does not make sense. So what do you think he's trying to do in the beginning?
I think this comes back down to me from the midfield. Problem is, if you don't have any ball retention, let's be fair, we've got no real ball retention up front, right? Mwani's decent at it now, right? But we've got no real ball retention up front and no real ball retention in midfield. So what happens is, if you looked at tonight in the first half, and by the way, I agree with you, but if you looked at tonight in the first half, we kept winning the ball. Sarr kept giving it away. Berghvall kept giving it away. They did some nice stuff, but they kept giving it away. The moment you give it away, the defense are like, oh my God, they're coming back at us again and again and again. If you look at the better teams that play still, their midfield keep the ball and they keep the ball away from the defense for a bit of time. Listen, I'm not sitting here dying on a hill for Thomas Frank, right? I think the football's poor. I think it needs to get better. But what I would like to see still is I'd like to see us actually go out, get a manager, the players that he wants. Let's get a manager to have the team that he's built, right, before we turn around and go, this is crap, we're never going to do this. And at the moment, I think we're severely lacking in many areas of the pitch. I think we've got only my opinion still. I've always said this. I haven't changed my mind.
It's all opinions. It's never personal. It's always opinions.
I think we've got a very average squad with a few very good players. The problem is, average players, for me, they are capable of a very good game, but they will always default to their average game more often than not. So they can raise their game for Man City in one game, but can you raise it every single week? No, because if you could, then every team in the league would be winning every game because their players would be up for every game. So I think that we've got a lot of work to do. And all I've said with this whole Frank thing, I just want to see a manager have some windows, bring in the players he wants, and then we can turn around and say whether it's worked or not. Doesn't mean I'm happy with the football I'm seeing. Doesn't mean I think he's doing an amazing job. But if they've brought in this guy and they've said, this is our guy for this project, can we see it through rather than shitting the bed after 14 Premier League games? Because all the managers, last thing, all the managers I keep hearing still, and I am going to go in a minute, right? I've got to go. My voice is gone. All the managers I keep hearing still from people who, it changes every week as to who is someone's favourite manager to take over at Spurs. Look at Iriola. Last month, Iriola was everyone's favourite manager. The bloke can't buy a win, right? Glasner was everyone's favourite manager. These managers are doing no better than Thomas Frank, and they've been at their clubs for years and built their teams and built their squads.
It's smaller clubs, though, aren't they? They're small clubs.
They are smaller clubs, but their squads are closing in on ours. As we're losing Kanes and Sons,
they are definitely.
They're gaining better players. So
Wani, Kudos, Paulinho, Simmons, these are good. We've actually signed some decent players this window. We needed more. We needed more.
I'm not saying we haven't, but those managers have had a couple of years to actually put their team together and build it. We've brought in a few players, had 14 league games with Champions League in between each one of them. And we're going, why aren't we as good as those teams? Well, we've got as many points as those teams, right? What happens if you give Frank his players and a couple of windows? I'd like to see that. I know everyone goes mad at me. I just like to see that.
I'm not sure, Sab, but I'll say it on the show. I've said it on many shows. I'm not convinced the right man for the project that we want as fans. I'm not convinced by that.
If we keep going back and forth, guys, if
I'll go quiet. Let everyone else talk.
Yeah, look, Sean, I've got to go. I've really got to go. It's been a long night. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
I appreciate you very much, mate.
It's never personal.
Appreciate you, mate. Luke, I'll bring you in just a second. The other guy's been waiting as well for a long time, so I just want to give them a quick chance. Where do I go? Michael, I'll come to you. I did want to ask about the specifics of players because that was the initial question, and it sort of got sidetracked a little bit. Individual performances tonight. I mean, Brennan Johnson, did he do anything to kind of stake a claim? I thought Pape Sarr tonight was awful. I know we spoke a lot about the midfield there, but let's talk about other players outside of the midfield. Danso playing on the left side of centre back. What was your thoughts, mate?
Right. Johnson is fucking wank. Yeah. Let's get that out of the way. I honestly didn't notice that he was playing until my brother texted me on Messenger saying, I just noticed that Johnson is playing. I was like, oh yeah, listen, we have an 11th player on the pitch, right? We aren't playing a man down, and I just noticed Johnson running around. So yeah, it's he. Let's just say he's out of the way. With Sarr, I struggle with Sarr really because I've always used to say that you have to have, and I call them like a worksmith, or I don't know which English word to use it to describe it, right? But you have to have a guy in midfield who just runs for other guys, right? Who just puts in that physical shift. Right, unless you have like 3 world-class players, you have a workhorse. Exactly. Sorry, I forgot the word. Right. Yeah, you have to have a workhorse in the midfield. Right, a guy who will just put in a shift and allow others to shine. Right, and I think if we had better midfielders other than Pape Sarr, I think he would be more useful for the team. So if we had 2 technical players like a Maddison and let's say a Palhinha, right? Imagine if it was Maddison, Palhinha, and then you put in Sarr, and then this guy can just run for Maddison and give him the tackle, give him the ball, and just perform those like physical tasks in the midfield that are needed. But when the technical level of your midfield is low, and then you add Pape Sarr on top of that, I feel like then you see the deficiencies of him playing, right? Then you see that all the things that he's bad at, they get elevated, right, and shown to you because he is partially also responsible for those tasks, creative tasks, right, passing and just shooting, assisting and all that stuff. So that's why I have an issue with him because today I think he was average, right? I don't think he played well, but I see the use case to have him, right? If you get my drift.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying sell him necessarily. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Playing Pape Sarr in the 6 today for me was a little bit crazy. Like he's good in the press, but not much. He's not very good as a DM.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's an 8. Like 6 has to be Bentancur or Palhinha. And by the way, you've noticed it also, and I think we've been doing this weird thing of playing Palhinha and Bentancur as the more advanced of the double pivot. Like when it's Palhinha and Bentancur, Palhinha, who for me is a more defensive guy, he's the one more advanced.
Yeah, it's weird.
And when either of them play with like Berghvall or Sarr, they are the ones who get the license to go forward, and Berghvall and Sarr are the ones staying back, which is sweet for me. I would consider having the more experienced player playing further back to provide like stability and they are, at least they should be more experienced and focused, right? So it's weird. And quickly on the last player that you asked me, Danso, I think he was not magnificent today, right? But I think he put in a shift. I think I was really worried when I saw that we won't be playing with Van de Ven. And maybe the game also was in a way that we didn't really need Van de Ven's pace to bail us out like we did against Fulham. But those defensive duties that were given to Dance, I think he fulfilled them really well today. I think he played okay, really well.
He's a no-nonsense centre-back, isn't he? He's
exactly.
Nowhere near as good, but like he's an old school, I don't know, John Terry. He's a Tony Adams sort of player. He's a no-nonsense centre-back. When you look at Van de Ven and you look at Romero, they're ball-playing centre-backs, aren't they? And I agree with what you're saying. That's where I think Danzo does his job well. No nonsense, no piss balling about. You're a defender, do your defensive work. And he's not scared to, when in doubt, kick it out as such instead of try and play it out. So I'm 100% with what you said.
Luba, I'll bring you in quickly, mate. How you doing, buddy? Where are you? You in a hotel?
No, I'm staying with friends in Newcastle overnight.
Hey, fair play to you for going up there today. I know you had other business to take care of, but to you and to all the other, 3,000 Tottenham fans? I saw the picture you sent me, mate. You look like you were up in the gods.
We were.
Literally in the gods.
No, listen, it was brilliant being there. I mean, the captain pulled us through for the point, didn't he? And although, you look at it, first half, we weren't particularly good. First 30 minutes, I thought was dreadful. Second half, we started, not controlling, but we kept the ball a lot more. The possession was much better. And, Romero came through, didn't he? 2 cracking goals. You can't beat a diving header and an overhead kick.
What did the crowd think about the penalty?
Well, all the Newcastle friends I've spoken to up here and the ones that have been texting, none of them said it was a penalty. Not one.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you think it was a point well deserved? Do you think we were lucky? Were you happy? Give me your general take. General take.
I mean, the guys up here didn't think Newcastle played particularly well. They thought it was the worst performance for a few games. They were saying Tonali was poor. They didn't think Joe Linton was particularly great. And they were rotating. They've got another league game Saturday, and they've got Leverkusen next Tuesday, which is why Eddie Howe rotated Bruno, which was good for us. He's the pick of their midfield. To me, I thought, listen, it's you go to Newcastle. They've just won the last 6 at home. They're pretty good up here. And, I've been up here the last few years and we've been battered every time. So it's just nice to come away with a point.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. John, let me come to you, mate. Did you, with regards to the actual 11, was there, a lot of people in the chat that I was talking to were saying, feel like we didn't make the subs early enough. We conceded our first goal about 10 minutes after people were asking for the first subs. Is there a criticism there in your mind of Thomas Frank for once again waiting a little bit too long? Reactionary versus proactionary? If that's even a word. Proactive is the word I'm looking for. Reactive versus
I think he could have changed Johnson out maybe at half time or around about maybe the hour mark. He wasn't producing anything. I thought Kudus looked out of it again. Just looks off the pace. He's not tracking back, but I know he's been injured, so he's just getting back into the rhythm of things. But yeah, I felt that left side needed a bit of surgery. I thought Kolo Muani looked sharp. He looked like he was the only one who was going to produce something, and he actually produces chances on his own. He doesn't actually feed off of any through balls. He's picking the ball up. He's a
little bit like Voltamade, and he's a big lad, big lump, but he's got quite good close control. He can dribble, take a man on. He's got rangy legs. He's got Pape Sarr sort of rangy legs where he can cover ground without moving his legs too quickly. He can dribble, take players on. He's clearly got an eye for goal. I know he didn't score. He hasn't scored yet. I know Stell's going to remind everybody that he hasn't scored yet. But Stel, were you impressed with Kolo Muani tonight? I see you nodding your head then when John was saying that. Are you warming to Kolo Muani, or are you still embedded in your opinion that he's shit? You're on mute.
I said he was shit in front of goal. You always forget the last part of the sentence. It's right there. Show the whole chat, not the bit you cherry pick. Do you know what? There's no point in me even trying to defend myself.
It's a wind up.
I know. Yeah, look, I don't think he's that goal scorer that we're looking for. He's not the Kane, the Defoe, the Robbie Keane, the Berbatov we're looking for. But as an attacking forward that can play in the front three, mate, he's a handful. He's an absolute nuisance. He always comes close to scoring, maybe not quite scoring though. He's a bully. You know, when he bullied Bassi against Fulham, that battle was immense. And tonight he danced past 2-3 players and then just at the end didn't quite manage to pull the trigger and score. But I was shocked that he got pulled off again. I was livid he got pulled off against PSG. To pull him off for Richie. This is what I mean about negative. It's just a negative move. You know, you're pushing for an equaliser. You've got a bit of momentum. You don't take off Kudus and Mwani, man. You don't do that. And it's little things like that where I say to myself, I'm struggling to warm to the manager because I know what I want to see in that moment. And I don't see it. I see the opposite. I see Tel come on and Richie, and it's almost like a downgrade. And then we're depending on a centre-back to save us, a centre-back. So,
do you reckon he was half knackered, like why they took him off, like he lost his legs a bit, sort of thing? I don't know. It's just a question.
Look, if he is knackered,
strange sub in my opinion as well. I was a bit like, why are you taking him off? But
listen, when your adrenaline's pumping as a footballer, when your adrenaline's just, you know, I'm in this game. You find the extra 10, 15 minutes in your leg. You find it, and I don't think Mwani was tied to the point of where he couldn't play another 5-6 minutes of football, another 10 minutes of football. But look, Frank makes up his own mind. He's got his reasons. I just prefer a more positive move in that moment because without him on the pitch and without Kudus on the pitch, it's a big drop-off. It's a big drop-off. You know, those two are very different to the other forward options we've got. But he starts a game, he comes off the bench, does well, and then he's binned for the next 3 games. So how's the coach supposed to develop him? I thought Frank was going to coach and develop players. Well, you're not going to do it by dropping Odegaard every week. Xavi Simons, we all bigged him up when he came. He just sits on the bench. And then we're all sitting here going, we've got no through balls. There's no one making through balls. Yeah, because the only guy that can do it is on the bench every week. So I don't know. Listen, I don't know.
That's a fair point.
I don't know. We've got a point. We've got a point. I can't complain. We've got a point because not many teams are going to Newcastle this year and getting anything, and we got a point. So,
still that little incident when Simmons picked up the ball in the inside left, and he played the ball over the top, and Udogie ran onto it. I think was it Udogie? That's the only time I've seen us turn a team round the corner over their defence in between the fullback and the centre back. You just don't see it under this manager. Football's about imagination. I don't see any imagination with this manager. I thought I was going to see more creativity.
If it was me, Mwani, Berghvall, Kudus and Simmons start as many games as possible because they are the best of the crop we've got. And I would just stick, and I said it weeks ago, John, stick with one left winger and stop changing him. What is the point of putting a forward who plays on the right left wing today? What is the point of Johnson going left wing? It makes no sense, man. It's mental. And people saying, oh, come on, Stel, we scored when we made the subs. Look who scored the goal, guys. Look who scored the goal. None of the subs had an impact. None of them.
Well, as soon as Anthony Gordon comes on, you see Thomas Frank. The camera points to the dugout, and they see Thomas Frank suddenly doing like a little huddle with his coaching team, clearly talking about how do we react to their changes. Right? They brought on Anthony Elanga and Bruno Guimaraes and Anthony Gordon, and like Pedro Porro. I know people give him a super hard time, as do I. I think he's a luxury we can't afford, but that guy is involved in the game more than any other player because he is expected to produce things going forward, but he is also the target man every single time against every single team. His concentration levels have to be on it for 90 minutes because they always go down past him. But unfortunately, he's 60, 70 minutes in. He's been running ragged, trying to get forward, getting pulled back, focused. And then Anthony Gordon comes on, who's a fucking live wire. And he gets beaten. But it wasn't just him that got beaten. Bentancur got beaten, and Bentancur had like 5 yards further space behind him to work with. Anthony Gordon just rolls it past, pulls the ball back across the D, as we've become used to. Voltemade, fantastic touch, and then an absolutely sublime finish from Guimaraes. And I've just, like, to me, I just feel like people are going to remember that about Pedro Porro, but they're going to forget the fact that he got his foot in the way of about 9 different crosses today, and he's doing better in the back post. I thought Pedro Porro, like, I think if he does 25 things well and one thing and he gets caught out in one time, people are going to focus on the one thing because it's obviously going to hurt. It's going to be painful. Sure. But I thought he had a good shift.
In attack, I thought he goes down.
Do you know what it is? A player has got 2 groups you'd put them in. You've got a player that's versatile like Kane. Any manager, any system, any club, he'll deliver. Tottenham, Bayern Munich, England. He's played under 8 or 9 different managers. He will always perform because he's versatile. Then you've got other players that aren't versatile. If you don't play them the way they were played when you signed them, then what's the point of signing them? So Porro and Udogie, go watch how they were played at Sporting Lisbon and Udinese. We do not play those 2 players. Ange never played them the way they were at their clubs, and Frank's doing the same thing. So each week when we pick on Porro, then Udogie, then Porro, then Udogie, and we miss the good stuff, and then we just see, they're making mistakes again. It's because we're not playing them the way we scouted them. We're shoehorning them into a different type of role. And I think if you're a versatile player, you can do that. You can develop a player to be more dynamic in their role. But some players, you've just got to play them to what you sign them. And I think Porro and Udogie are classic examples of that. We can't play them in a different way. Porro is an out-and-out attacking wing-back. He needs to be more attacking than what he is defensive. It means you've got to cover him. And Udogie, he's more defensive, but go watch him Udinese. His crossing was really good.
Which is why a back 3 model, like you allow Romero, like if you don't have the midfielders, which I don't think we do, I think we can all agree that our midfielders are basically outclassed by most of the midfields that we come up against. Until you get a better midfield, then why not just play a back? Like I know it's more tinkering, but I feel like at Tottenham we give 45 minutes of football to a back 3 system every year, and then it proves the point that it doesn't work. We did it against Everton under Ange. Everton away. We gave it 45 minutes. We were 3-0 down at half-time. And then Ange went, see, I've tried it. Got it off your chest, have you? Now fuck off and let me get back to my usual system. And Frank tried it against Arsenal. And it wasn't a back 3. It was a back 5, as you point out, Stel. And we were hammered by it against the best team in Europe. And then we haven't seen it again. We saw the first time we saw it in open play, really, the way it actually worked was against PSG in the Super Cup. But if we haven't got a midfield, then like allow Romero the luxury to move into the 6 and then use his pings. Allow Van der Ven to use the skill set that he has, which is to be able to carry the ball out without the risk of, if it doesn't work out, getting pulled to pieces like he did against Chelsea and Manchester United.
Sean, can I give you a stat?
The back 3 model for me, and again, you still get to use Porro and Udogie the way you just described. Can
I give you a quick stat? Dan, can I give one quick stat and then I'll go quiet again so everyone can speak? If you go back 2 seasons ago, I did an analysis where every single game I made a note of who scored, who got the assists. And what I noticed was, against the top 10 teams in the league, so the hardest games on paper, the top 2 players at Spurs for goals and assists combined was Heung Min Son and then Pedro Porro 2 seasons ago. So a club like Liverpool, when Klopp was there, they would look at data like that and say, how do we play to get that data every single season out of these 2 players? And what they did was Trent Alexander-Arnold, he hardly defended. He wasn't very good at defending, but they didn't need him to, because the output on the other end delivered 5 trophies for Liverpool, with Trent being very good forward and not so good at the back. They looked at that data and they said, that's how we've got to play him. I believe that's what we need to do with Porro. Otherwise, set him, because he's not going to work for what we want to do. That's a fact. Son and Porro were the 2 highest contributors to goals and assists 2 seasons ago. It's the big clubs, the top 10.
And funny enough, interestingly enough, I saw a report the Athletic did on Liverpool, with the problem right back area since Trent has gone. They've played 5 or 6 different people at right back this season, and they're struggling on that side. And Salah's way off form as well.
I think they're struggling everywhere, and they really ain't looking good at the minute, are they?
No, they've also, listen, Van Dijk's looking like he's past his best as well. And listen, if you bring in that many players in one summer, you're going to struggle, aren't you? It's too many.
I've said this for ages now. Porro is exactly what Stel just said. He is a wing back. He cannot defend come love nor money. For me, getting in front of a shot here and there isn't being a good defender. Yeah, anybody can do that. Any player can do that. Yeah, and now and again he has a game where he does it a couple of times, and then people tell me he can defend. Well, if he can defend, why is it every game without fail he gets focused on?
Yeah,
because he is our liability in defence. Might sound like a bit of a harsh word, but
how do you think he got on today, Dan?
I think by the end of it, he had a respectable game. I think at the start, he was as bad as everyone else, all over the place. Yeah. He lost it plenty of times. He's crossing. He just didn't even get it in there, up there. Yeah. He got focused on totally. He lost the ball countless times. But I think in the second half, he muscled up and manned up, basically, and grew a pair and got stuck into it like the rest of the team. Football-wise, do I think he had a good game? I think there's only about 2 players on there who actually had a good football game. But with Porro, and it's the same with Udogie, we might as well just sell them. Unless you are going to actually play them as wing-backs with 3 behind them, you will never, ever, ever get the best out of them. The other thing I'd say with Porro is, do you know what? I think personally, instead of a right-back, you'll get more of him out as a right winger or up the other end, basically. Who he reminds me of is... It might not be the best one to relate it to, yeah? But let's just say a very poor man's Gareth Bale. His style of play. He ain't one to sit back and defend. He wants to charge up that pitch. He wants to get in there and get that crossing, or even get up the top and cut in and maybe get a shot or pass or crossing. It's the same sort of style that Bale used to play. But obviously, I'm not comparing them as quality. I mean, Bale is a billion years ahead of whatever Porro ever will be. But it's the same sort of style of play, if you get what I mean. They've got the same mentality of how they want to play, yeah? And Porro, he's not a bloody defender. And if he could defend, like people keep telling me he can, why is it every game without fail he gets focused on? And it wasn't just this season. He got sussed out at the start of last season with Ange. And a lot of us said, yeah, that's down to the inverted wing backs, did no favours in that. But every time without fail, they focus on him. Porro. Every time with Porro, yeah, they focus on him every game without fail because he's the liability in defence.
Well, you know what?
Himself, didn't he? Recently, he said in I think it was social media. He said, "For me, I'm more of a winger. I'm not a fullback. I'm not a defender." In my opinion, when you inherit a squad, you have to make your adaptability to that squad until you can bring in the players that you want completely.
100%, mate. 100%. How many managers are fucking lazy as fuck? Amorim does it. I'm never going to change. Conte did it. Ange did it. Thomas Frank's doing it. If you're the one guy and you walk into a squad and you don't have the players to play your way, rather than asking 11 players to adapt to you, how about you adapt to them? If you're really worth 5 million quid a year, you should be able to fucking play a few different systems. It's not that difficult. The game isn't that complicated that you can't have more than one way, like more than one ace up your sleeve, John. Am I wrong?
Well, as I said in the group chat today, and I'm going back to your point about the Super Cup game, I expected Frank to take that on then and adapt it and tweak it and see, okay, I've got my wing backs and I might have to change them around a little bit depending on injuries. But then you look at Porro is at his strongest, Udogie is at his strongest because then he can get into the box. He can make diagonal runs like he did at Udogie with power and pace. At the moment, he's defending too much. That's not his game. And then you can push Kudus into the middle to make those runs into the box and be a third man breaking in. And you can use Sarr as that or Berghvall as that. And then you can have more of an out-and-out ball winner. You can have the midfield more as ball winners rather than trying to dictate the play. Because
but even on the ball, John, like one thing that I'm not sure what happened. But this season so far, Porro and Udogie have really disappointed me in attack. Porro's crossing, I don't know what happened to it. He's putting some terrible crosses recently. I don't know why. And Udogie, just in attack with the ball, I expected more than what he's giving us. Again, I don't know whether it's the tactics, whether he's staying back, but even when he gets the ball, his decision-making, his explosiveness isn't there. So both fullbacks or wingbacks, defensively, sure, we all know Porro's deficiencies, and Udogie isn't the best either. However, even in attack, they're not giving us this season what they did before, last season, seasons before. And I'm not sure why the regression. Is it the tactics or is it them specifically? It makes no sense to me. I just felt like Porro was really poor once again, and Udogie was really poor once again as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is the positions they're receiving the ball. We're asking them to come from a fullback position into breaking into the box. And that's not really going to happen, not with this midfield, because they don't create the triangles, unfortunately.
With Udogie, though, the decision-making too, like sometimes he needs to pass the ball, he dribbles it into nowhere. Like the decision-making isn't there.
He loses the ball a lot, doesn't he? He
doesn't let the ball go when
they lost the ball countless times.
Yeah. He does what Kudus does without the technical ability.
When you don't have the supporting triangles around you, that's going to happen a lot because a player's going to say, right, I'm going to have to do something with this now. And then they run into a tunnel. So without those options around you, you end up saying, right, okay, I'm going to either try and run with the ball or I'm going to pass it forward or backwards or sideways and then potentially lose it to getting counter-pressed. And it's just the team's not set up for their strengths, as Sean was saying.
The other thing also is that it was interesting just listening to the guys around me, particularly first half. We just couldn't hold on to the ball, could we? And if you got, if you got two wing backs playing as fullbacks, they had a much stronger midfield, although their midfield wasn't really firing today. So you look at what Frank's got to work with. We're all saying how badly the forwards were misfiring, apart from Kudus first part of this season. So it's no surprise we've won 8, drawn 7, lost 7, or lost 6. I think lost 7. We've won 8, drawn 7, lost 7 of the 22 games we played.
Mixed bag, right? It could have been more mixed bag if it tried, right?
Lubo, it's by design, right? I went and looked at this when he was the Brentford manager. It was very similar to what he's seeing at Spurs: low creation, high conversion. Exact same thing is happening on a smaller level because he hasn't got his players. He plays a system that doesn't create a lot. He did the same at Brentford, but the conversion was quite high. That for me is a mid-table method, and I'll tell you why. Because you're depending on scoring 50% of the chances you create.
Which we have been. Which we have been.
And we're mid-table. The exact same thing happened at Brentford. Low creation, high conversion, mid-table. Because what happens is, in some games, you have really high conversion, like today. 4 shots, 2 goals. That's really high conversion for the amount created. But then if you don't convert, you've lost the game because you're not creating enough to get enough shots away to try and win it. And for me, this is why I look at the coaching, and I keep saying to this. The way the players play is how they're being coached. We can be a better passing team, not tiki-taka Barcelona levels, but we can be a better passing team, but we don't focus on that. That's not the way we're set up to play. We're not designed to be a high-level possession team. We're not. We're designed to be a rigid, solid defensive block that transitions quickly up the pitch and hopes to create chances that we put in the back of the net. We're not a team that's going to build up the play.
Let me ask you this, still. Let me ask you this.
We will never be a team that controls the game and be a high possession team on a weekly basis under Frank. He's not going to bring that to Tottenham.
With the players we have, if we were to go and get a Calhanoglu from Inter, a Locatelli, an Adam Wharton, whoever, not forget Adam Wharton, he's never going to come, but it's like, somebody of that ilk that can get his foot on the ball and dictate and then support with some better players, like people like Brennan Johnson have to leave the football club. I didn't think he had a shocker tonight, to be honest. I thought he was a little bit better. He worked hard, But
Yeah.
I know a lot of people saying he was absolutely atrocious. I didn't think he was. I thought he worked hard, but that's relative to the baseline that I would expect from him, and I expect absolutely fuck all. So, like,
Sean, let me give you an example. The best performance of the season for me was against Man City. It was the best performance, bar none. We were superb that day. Go look at the possession stats. We had 40% of the ball. Go look at the passing numbers. We had 50% less passes than them. And this is what I mean. We're not going to be a team that controls, dictates, dominates the ball, and controls the game in that way.
But let me ask you.
He's going to be that guy at Tottenham. He's going to be a different type of manager. Whether it works at the level, I don't know if it will. Do
you think that he has? He said he's got to fix the foundations first. Do any of you guys think that he's fixed the foundations?
No. Not yet.
I think not yet. I think it's a work in progress. Once again, Bruno's goal tonight, Sarr should be out there closing him down, and Sarr, I think, was level with Danso and Romero.
Yeah, but that goal was. I know people are going to sit there, as I said in the previous answer. I genuinely think that Pedro Porro did 20 good things tonight, and about 6 defensively. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I think he did like 10 good things defensively, 10 blocks, 10 back post headers. He was involved, and yet that particular thing where he gets walked or sprinted past by a fresh-legged Anthony Gordon. Yeah. I don't think anybody in our team has the legs in that scenario to be able to keep up with Anthony Gordon.
Not Spence. Not
even Jed Spence. Not like that. Maybe possibly if Jed Spence had been subbed on at the same time as Anthony Gordon.
I don't know. Gordon is
even then. Anthony Gordon is fucking rapid, and he had the touch. He had like it was you have to turn and catch up. He beat Porro and he beat Bentancur, and Bentancur was 5 yards in front or deeper than Pedro Porro. My point is, for that goal to happen, it was a perfect run, a perfect cross, a perfect low-driven ball to the kind of edge of the D or whatever, and then a fantastic first touch from Voltemade that was just soft enough to be able to fall to the feet of Bruno Guimaraes in enough time before he gets closed down. And then Guimaraes hit the perfect ball. If Guimaraes hits that with like a 1/4 of an inch more curve on it, I think Vicario gets to it. But it's the fact that he kind of pokes it so that it doesn't curl at all. If anything, it slightly bends outwards into the top bins. It was the perfect goal.
It was a superb shot.
Superb goal.
It was a superb goal.
But I think people are going to like focus on, the faux pas there. But I'm not sure if there was really much that anyone could do about it personally. However, that said, I still think that same goal looks very reminiscent of what every team does against Tottenham, which is pull the ball back to the back of the D.
Yeah.
And
how did you guys?
You're right. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the replay enough to remember whether or not there was someone that could have got in a better position. But that has to be solved. That has to be fixed very soon.
It happens.
How did you guys think Vicario did tonight? He got a lot of love from the fans, I must tell you.
I thought he was very good tonight. Do you know what he was moaning about? Around the half-time mark,
what was he actually going on about when he kept tapping his foot?
Somebody threw something at him.
Someone caught him.
Yeah, somebody threw something at him from the stand.
Like a lighter or vape or something, was it?
I thought it might be something.
But
just quickly on your Porro.
Sorry, Dan. I'm out.
Cheers, Eugene. Appreciate it, mate. I'll see you tomorrow night, Eugene. You're on Rabbit Hole?
Perhaps. What time?
9 o'clock. You'll be there. You're always there, mate. Shut up. I don't even need to know. You'll be there. See you,
You're
mate.
taking me for granted, Sean. I don't like it.
Mate, we got to save up to go to Antarctica, bro. You're coming with us, mate. You've got to be there for that.
But actually, just one thing before I go on the previous point that Stel was talking about, our conversion rate. Stel, you're spot on. However, like if we had Harry Kane, he could convert at 50% clip. The fact that our center backs are the ones who are scoring goals, that conversion rate is going to go down. So that's my point. It's not sustainable. So if we create 2 chances a game and Van der Ven is leading us with 6 goals and Romero has to bail us out, they're not Harry Kane. Eventually, those goals.
It's a risky strategy.
It's not going to work with our personnel. So the goals are going to draw. We cannot rely on Van der Ven and Romero to score our goals and go 2 for 2 in every game. That's just not sustainable, right? So that's my point. And Sava can point to the goal stats, which is fair. But again, the way we're doing it It's just I just don't see it. Just
look, facts are facts,
sustainable.
stats are stats. It's how you interpret the stats. Where the
So
subject
can I say something then? If we are fourth best team in the league at scoring goals and we've got a defensive coach, how the fuck does anyone justify being mid-table? If we're scoring so many goals and we've got a defensive coach who's had all his defenders fit, how does anyone justify being 11th then?
Well, still, you got two wing backs as fullbacks. You got a midfield that's weak. You know, there are so many gaps in our team. Simmons hasn't come to the table yet. He's not come to the party.
Yeah, but we're the fourth top goal scorers in the league, Lubo.
Okay.
And we've got a defensive-minded coach. How does that make sense? I don't get it.
Well, it bodes well for when he gets better players.
But why are we mid-table now? Though I don't understand. I'm just saying. There's people say things. Then when you add up the pieces, the logic doesn't add up. And if you guys can understand it, brilliant. I'd like to know because I can't understand it.
Well,
can I ask you guys this, right? Everyone thinks Pedro Porro is awful. This is a list of on the Y Scout of all of the right backs in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Porro, according to market valuation, is 7th on the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. Valverde's not even a right back, by the way. He's a midfielder. Trent Alexander-Arnold's not. It's the same problem, and he's not coming anyway. Hakimi's never leaving PSG. Ben White's never leaving Arsenal. Nunes is never leaving. He's a midfielder. Well, whatever you want to call him. He's never leaving Manchester City. City. Frimpong's never leaving Liverpool. Then you got Pedro Porro. You're never going to get Jules Koundé to come to Tottenham. Never going to get Reece James to come to Tottenham. Axel Disasi is one of the worst players I've ever seen. He's not even a right back. He's a right-sided centre-back. I don't know. I've got no idea how he's valued at 40 million euros. He's fucking dreadful. Rico Lewis is never coming to City. Gusto, Chelsea fans don't like Gusto. I rate him, but he's never coming to Tottenham. Curtis Jones never coming. Livramento, we played against him tonight. He's never leaving. Gersh Druida, he's just joined Sunderland. Marcus Llorente is 30 years old. You're not going to buy him. Mats Wiefer at Brighton was a player that I wanted a couple of years ago. He's gone to Brighton now and he's happy there. Maybe there's an option there, but he's also an attacking right back. Mascara at Arsenal, never going to happen. Conrad Limer's never going to happen. Stanisic at Munich's never going to happen. Matty Cash, brilliantly balanced player. Don't think he would come. Where exactly do you see the right back solution? Coyote at Brentford. I mean, what are we doing here? Where exactly is the right back solution? It's not an overly saturated position.
We've got it. He's at the club.
Who?
He's at the club. Jez Spence.
I don't even rate Jez Spence like you lot do.
But if you want to play him, if you want a right back, then Spence is the man there who can do the job better than Porro and Udogie. He's more defensively minded than either of them two. Yes, he can push forward as well. You can use him as a wing back and that, but I don't think that's his strongest points. But that's why I think he's sort of. It's like Stel said. I think he's a more versatile player. I think is the way to put it because he can press forward with the ball, but his defending is definitely much better than them two.
Yes, and he's quick as well.
You can use him as a right back. I mean, another one we could have got, but then if you want out and out defence, it ain't the smartest one to go for. Dumfries, we could have had him 2 seasons ago. They put him on the bloody market. They didn't want much for him, and then he had a bloody good season and that. But he's another one who's more, I'd call him more of a wing back personally. But I'd say
he's a wing back as well, mate. He's a wing back as well.
That's what I'd say when I watch him play in there. Right backs and left backs, I don't know, it seems to be a bit few and far between them.
Plenty of great
that we can get.
Plenty of great left backs. Right backs, I'm not so sure.
Mate, there's a top right back in the Premier League, but he's currently injured. But he's a top level right back, and that's Lamptey. But he's always injured.
He's about 5'3", though, isn't he?
Mate, he's a player. Golo Kante was.
You know what's going to happen if you bring him in? The game will just shift from targeting Pedro Porro against him as in one-on-ones to just lumping the ball to the back post.
Yeah. By the way, Sean, can I ask, what do you guys think of Romero's performance? Forget the goals. What did you think of his performance?
Honestly, in the first half, I was really pissed off with him. Mm-hmm. I was saying, I actually said 3 or 4 times, I was like, learn the fucking lesson, Tottenham. Loan out Christian Romero in a World Cup year. He doesn't want to be here. He's a little bit distracted and he's not concentrating. And of course, he goes and takes my opinion and shoves it right up my arse. by scoring two goals. But I actually thought in the first half he was all over the place until he put that ball through, until he put that long ball into Johnson. But I thought defensively, I didn't think he was very good at all today. In the first half.
Watch in the first half, Bentancur actually saved his ass. If I counted right, 3 times, saved him. People grill Bentancur, yeah, but people don't pay attention to the dirty work that gets done on the pitch. And he actually does quite a bit of dirty work. And he actually saved Romero 2 or 3 times in that first half.
Yeah,
I thought you had an excellent second half, Romero.
I'm very harsh on Bentancur, but I think that's a fair point, actually.
Go look at the ball that Danzo cleared off the line, the header. Look how that whole passage began. It's when Romero got skinned.
Yeah, that one as well. That one as well.
Do you know what Romero? He's a bit like Porro. He is a target. He's a marked man by our fans and by the media. But the thing is with Romero, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's one of those players. He might not be the best when we need him to be. If you need someone to look at today, he saved us. You go look at last season when we were 3-0 down to Arsenal, or the year before. He was the one that drove us forward to come back. You look at the Europa League Cup final. He wins Player of the Match.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Romero, he's got that fight in him. He's got that I will push us when we need it. The problem is he's always got a bozo moment in him, and that's what everyone focuses on, the bozo stuff.
But still, that fight moment is only the way I see Romero, and this is why for me he will never ever be a world-class player. On his day, yeah, but you need to be more than
it's consistent concentration, Dan, right?
Exactly. But the other thing I have a problem with Romero is his attitude. And I think his attitude, I like his attitude in he's up for a fight and that, yeah, all day long. But I don't like his attitude of I can be bothered to play today, so I'm going to play and put the effort in. Or do you know what? I just can't be bothered today. And you can't tell me there's been how many games where he turns up that it just looks like he just can't be bothered. There's been other games where he gets totally done out the game basically and that, and then there's been other games where he just turns up and he's quality. This is why for me I can never call him world class because he has world class games. To be a world class player, you have to be a very consistent player and have the right mentality for it, and he has not got it as far as I'm concerned.
I like Romero. I think he gets. Go on, you go in. Sorry, you go.
It's funny. We were right behind the goal. Newcastle were attacking first half, and Vicario didn't have that much to do. I must tell you, I genuinely thought we defended well. You know, listen, they weren't overly effective up front, but that's also down to our players.
Lubo, sorry, did you say we defended well today?
First half,
yeah. Oh, not bad. Not bad for a crap squad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Listen, still, you know what? They're inconsistent. They're inconsistent. They'll have good games.
Lubo, Lubo. We said to you last night. We asked you last night because have you finally landed on your take on the squad?
On the squad, it needs a lot of work, Sean. It's really it's mid-table and it's average, and that's where we are.
Fulham's. You said it's worse than Fulham's, and now they defended.
I've got to tell you, still,
Newcastle.
I must tell you, still, Fulham finished 16 points clear of us last year. Did you forget that? 16 points. We had 38. They had 54, and you know, Marco Silva buys in players that fit his system, and he's been there a couple of years, hasn't he? You know, Frank's been there 4 months.
But in your honest opinion, Ian, sorry to interrupt you, mate. I just want to hear it for myself because it was winding me up last night as well, just being on who is actually better. Are we better than Fulham? Yes or no?
We are. We've got a marginally better squad than Fulham.
So we're better than Fulham.
Oh, freaking! Are we better? How'd you do that? How did you do that?
Are we better, Dan?
That's all I wanted, mate. You've just said we're better. Whether it's marginally better or marginally worse, we are better.
20 minutes last night.
How did he do that? How did you do that?
Right words.
But we should be.
Well done.
Dan, we should be well clear of Fulham. We should be well clear.
I think that's a fair point. Let me ask John. Let me bring John in. John, is it a concern? I was saying this. I don't know if you were watching the start of the watch long I did, but I was saying, like, I've made this argument quite a lot. I'm sorry, I just don't buy this argument that people say that the squad is dog shit. Right? It's terrible. I think there's like massively over appropriation. However, I definitely feel like since Kane and Sonny have gone, Kane specifically, in that regression over the last 6 years, 6 years ago, if someone said combined 11, Tottenham, Fulham, there's not a single Fulham player that gets in there. 6 years ago, combined 11, Tottenham, Villa, maybe one or two. 6 years ago, Tottenham, Newcastle, maybe two, maybe three at a push, but not really. Crystal Palace, nobody. Right? Wolves, nobody. Oh, you know what I mean? But now, I think I still would say that Tottenham have got a better squad of players or better 11 than Fulham's like 9 players. But tonight, I look at Newcastle tonight. I'd say that the only 2 players that could have started for Tottenham that would have got into the combined 11 maybe would have been Van der Ven and Kudus. I'm not sure about the rest. I think the midfield is a wash. I think Voltemade is better than anything we've got, probably. I think certainly Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes are better than anything we've got on the left wing. I think their fullbacks are better. You look at Fulham and you go, their fullbacks are better than ours. You know, Joaquin Anderson, when he was at Palace, was a baller. Not so much at Fulham, but still a very good player. Maybe Chukwuemezi gets in. And you look at like Villa and Crystal Palace for sure. You look at the starting 11s and you say, it's not a wash, but how have Tottenham got to the point where there's even conversations about starting 11s? Is it because Tottenham squad is that bad, or is it that everybody else is levelling up a little bit?
I can answer that one for you.
Dan, let me just bring John in because John hasn't said a word. So I'll come to you in a second.
Sorry, go on, mate. It's cool.
The big opportunity for me that was missed was when Conte took us to the Champions League and absolutely dominated Arsenal in that game right near the end of the season. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was the big opportunity for Levy and the board to go in and go, right, what do you want? We will give you the players that you want to go and kick on and challenge for the championship, the title and the Champions League. But they didn't. They left him high and dry on that. And that has set us back to where we are now. And they've got to get out of this routine of buying players like Archie Gray and Udogie, who are not ready to come in. You buy those players when you have a balanced, powerful squad already. Like Ferguson used to buy those players years ago. Leeds used to buy those players. Liverpool. When they've already got a spine of the team that's powerful and that you can rely on, you don't want to rely on Udogie, Archie Gray, and you sprinkle it with 1 or 2 players like Kudus, who is out there on his own. He's getting doubled up now. Everyone knows what he's going to do because there's no balance to the play. And this is the problem with Spurs, is they don't go out. Do you remember when Wenger first went?
Are you saying that we fixed the depth before we fixed the roof sort of thing?
Well, you have to go out and look at, okay, what do you need, right? It takes me back to when Wenger first went to Arsenal and they said to him, are you looking to sign players? What type of players do you want? And he said, we're looking to sign players between the ages of 24 and 28. Right now, we're talking about men. We're not talking about children. Men who have played in leagues, who have proven themselves, who you're going to look at and maybe not think, oh yeah, they're a world beater, but he knows they're up for the fight. They're technically good, and they're going to come into the team and want to prove themselves in the best league in the world. Tottenham haven't got that. They haven't ever had that. And this is where, with the Conte era, it was a massive opportunity. You know what it was like with Pochettino when they didn't sign a player for how many? 500 days? That was a massive opportunity to get players that could come in and support.
Yeah, there was also there was context to that though, mate. There was a lot of money, there was a lot of debt on the stadium and all that stuff as well. I hear what you're saying. I hear what everyone's always said on that point. Of course, that was the opportunity, but I also think that there was constraints and covenants and things that were limiting what we could have done.
We also know. Hang on, John.
Some of the players, hold on a minute, but some of the players that were signed when they did sign players then were still not of the quality.
Yeah,
it's still the selection of the recruitment. You have to get that right.
But John, they got rid of Pochettino 9-10 weeks after the end of that transfer window. So any systems that he was going to try and blood and integrate Lo Celso and Ndombele, Sessegnon and Clark into, that was gone.
But he didn't want to be there in that season, Lubo.
No,
I remember this was long before I had strong opinions about Tottenham. Long before I did content, I was at the game that Tottenham lost. Was it 7-2 to Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
I
That was
remember
when
turning to my dad. I remember turning to my dad at like the hour mark, and I was like, I think we've taken off every defensive player we can here. We're now playing with like two defenders and like 7 or 8 essentially attacking players. I was like, this is so unbalanced. He's playing to get sacked. Like, it felt to me at the time. This is before I had any agendas, because no one knew who. I was just some dickhead in the crowd. Like, no, I still am. But I felt at the time that he was playing for the sack in that season. I think people don't. I also remember the way he spoke in the pre-match press conference to the final. And he was kind of like talking himself. I don't know where I can go from here. Like, I think I'm the Argentina. I just felt like it had all gone to his head a little bit as well. I'm not saying that Levy and the club couldn't have done more, but I just felt like he also was sort of talking himself to the point of like,
Sean, you know when you saw his interview after we won in Ajax that night after the match,
yeah,
and he was very emotional, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and I think he was drained for a couple of reasons. Number one, you saw what he has. You saw the squad. The squad was on the way down that year. You know, compared to the year of 2017, I think we got something like 68, 70 points the year we got to Madrid, and we got 86 2 years earlier. So the squad was regressing at that point over, you know, between 16, 17 and 18, 19. And the fact that he had got the squad to a Champions League final was a miracle. Absolute miracle. You're right, Sean. It did bring unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And I think we're
still feeling that today.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that he was really drained about was the fact that he had done this without the backing that he should have had, because those 530 days, the debt had spiraled. The build was $500 million over, and there wasn't the money. So Levy had said to him, whatever you get for players coming in, going out, you can have to spend on players coming in. Problem is that Levy priced these. Poch wanted rid of 7 players. I can't remember. I was told years ago who they were. I know Dyer was one of them. And Levy had priced them all so unrealistically that not one of them sold. Not one. So Poch was left with no money. And that's the reason why it happened.
Sean, can I speak about Conte very briefly? Because of what I wanted.
Do you mind if I just press pause for a second? There's a couple of only very shortly. There's a couple of super chats I haven't spoken about in over an hour, so I just want to get them through, and I'll let you come in. 1 second. Bourbon Buzzer, big up to you, my man. Mate, I got your email today. I will respond. I think I already did respond, mate. Thank you so much again for your super sticker, buddy, and your support, mate. I can't wait to come up and see you in up in town, mate, very soon, mate, in the new year. Thank you again, buddy. Choo to you. Adam Horlock said, I think this is back when Sava was on. This is over almost an hour ago. He said, opinions are like arseholes. We all have one, but there's no reason for anybody in the chat to send any abuse. Anyone's way on the panel, have a bit of respect. I didn't even see the abuse. I saw a couple of nasty things that I blocked, but I didn't see. I think I might need to add some more moderators on the channel, because I think that's when you get loads of people in sometimes, and I can miss the abuse. Adam, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. If you're not already a mod, mate, I think you are, aren't you? If you're not, I'll make you one. Finn McMullen as well. Big up to you. He says teams like Brighton, Villa, Forest, and Fulham's midfield top owls. This is my point, right? It's a concern. Says enough on how neglected we have treated midfield for years. We never replaced Dembele. I think we can all agree on that, can we, guys?
Yeah.
But Frank signed 2 midfielders, Paulinho and Simmons.
Do you consider Simmons a midfielder, or do you consider him a forward or a link?
Oh, he's a hybrid 8-10. That's what he did at Leipzig.
He's an 8. Well, I posited this earlier. I'm like, if we don't have anybody on the fucking park that can pass the ball, why don't we just bring him back a little bit, let him play a deep lying role? You know,
that's what he did at Leipzig.
You can play him wide as a playmaker. I mean, people seem to think that a playmaker has to be in a number 10 position. No, it doesn't. There's been like other clubs out there that have done it. They have their playmaker out wide, who drifts out wide and basically brings it in. And that's what he also did at Leipzig, and created and scored as many goals doing that. And Sean, just to answer your question quick on what you said.
Can I talk about Conte after this?
Can I say good night? I've got a very early start in the morning back on the road, so I'll say good night, lads. Great result today.
Take care.
Cheers. See you guys.
See you,
See you
mate.
later, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer Sean's question quick. In the aspect of with the teams, yeah, I'm a firm believer, and I've seen it enough times. You can have a pretty bang average team on paper, players, yeah, but you get the right formation for them 11 people, or let's say 10, because the goalkeeper's who he is. You get the right formation, and you play everyone to their capabilities of what they're best at. You can make a very average team actually look very bloody good. You can have a team of quality players on paper, but if you don't play them to the right formation and to what suits them, because not everybody's as versatile as the other player, you can make a bloody good set of players on paper actually a pretty poor team. And the other thing with the problem with what we buy, where I'm agreeing with, what's it, John?
John, yeah.
Yeah. It's the players we go for. We shouldn't be buying these young players before we've got our first 11 sorted out, basically. You want that first 11 sorted out to then bring them in. It's like going down the pub and you've got to pull before you take it home, if you get what I mean. It's like we try to take it home first before we pull, basically. I'm just trying to say it in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's
comes
like
across a little bit suspect, yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Brilliant.
All right,
Brilliant.
yeah, Estelle, you wanted to bring in about the Conte thing.
Yeah, we've got very briefly before Conte. People say our midfield is weak, but Frank signed 2 midfielders. So questions then about the signings. But if it's not this, if Frank didn't sign them, that's what he was given. Then we need to give that same excuse to every previous manager. Because when Danjuma, Timo Werner's, all these players were signed, Brennan Johnson's, it wasn't a conversation about, oh, the club signed them. Everyone attacked the manager saying, but the manager accepted it. So Frank's accepted these midfielders. So we can't treat Frank differently to all the 8 managers before that we slagged off for signings. If the midfielders aren't turning out to be good, then either it's on the manager or it's not on the manager for any manager. Regarding Conte, I wish I met John back then. John, the channel I was part of back then called Tottenham Away, it doesn't exist anymore. Well, it does. It's called Spurs Corner, but we've started again. That period, we were the only channel, the only Spurs channel that defended Conte to the end when everyone else wanted him gone. Even when Conte wanted out, we still backed him, even when he wanted out, okay? And the reason was, and I totally agree with you, you bring in an elite manager who wasn't at the end of his tether the way, Mourinho was on his way out. He wasn't at his peak. Conte was still alive and kicking and achieving things in the game. You bring in a manager like that who gets you top 4, that brilliant game against Arsenal that secured it, basically. You have to back him with what he wants. Otherwise, there was no point in bringing him in. And what I loved about Conte, and so many fans never got this, was he was a winner up here. And I'll give an example. When Arsenal were coming to our ground, he was interviewed in the media. What do you think about the Arsenal game? And his response was, well, let's see if he turns up. Because he was meant to turn up in December and he didn't turn up. He didn't want to come in December because remember he cancelled the game because of COVID. He goes, let's see if he turns up. That's a winner's. That's a manager that knows how to get to him. He'd won the game before they came. He got to Arteta. And it's stuff like that I want to see from a manager. Whereas Poch, although we might not have backed him, Poch actually had opportunities to do something. And still to this day, and I love Poch. If he came back, I would love it. But Poch, starting Son at left back in that cup semi-final, and we concede from that position, starting Kane in the Champions League final, when we know he wasn't 100%, and completely mugged off Moura after what he did, stuff like that, I know a Conte wouldn't have done that. I know he wouldn't have done those things. And you're right, John. That was the manager to back. Conte was the manager to back. But, okay, he's gone now. And we were now paying the price of everything that's followed since. So I totally agree with what you said, John. I think you're spot on with that.
Who do you think we wasted? Who do you think we backed too much?
Ange.
I don't really believe that we've ever backed a manager properly, Sean. I know we're going to have this. We disagree on this. But I just feel that
I don't think Daniel Levy. It's not Daniel Levy's. If Daniel Levy hands over 100 million quid, do you subscribe to the notion that Daniel Levy's the guy who picks the players?
Sean, honestly, I think there's criteria that need to be met, which is set by the club at a high level, and that criteria is a constraint in itself. For example, there's no one's going to make me believe
the youth-centric policy of the last 2 years, for example, 3 years, whatever.
Yeah, I think they're working with one arm tied behind their back. I don't believe Ange Postecoglou turned around and said, "I need a left winger, get me Timo Werner." I don't believe Conte said, "I need a striker, get me Dan Juma." I don't believe Mourinho.
He re-signed Timo Werner. He wouldn't have tolerated it twice, would he?
That's the thing. He re-signed him. That's the one that does it.
But I don't believe, guys. This is the thing. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into he really, really wanted that. I believe that was a club decision where the club has some leeway. Just like I don't believe Mourinho said to the club, "I'm a defensive manager, go and get me Joe Rodon." I just don't subscribe to these things. I think there's some signings.
Well, that's a different thing. I can subscribe to that particular one, but like it's one thing to get Timo Werner once that Ange has to swallow, but to go and get him a second time, and it wasn't like he was cheap. He cost a fucking fortune in the wages.
There's no transfer fee, is there? There's no transfer fee.
But we paid any money for it. We paid 200 grand a week for him, didn't we?
Yeah. Listen, guys, I'll tell you now. I don't believe for 1 second Thomas Frank said, "Yeah, make sure Tel is in my squad next season. Get that deal done." I don't buy into that.
Again, that's already done and dusted.
Already done and dusted in January.
Ben Davies re-signed. Ben Davies re-signed after Frank came. I don't believe Frank signed off on that. I don't believe he said, "Yeah, keep Ben Davies."
Okay, even if what you're saying is true, do you think that a manager that only lasts 18 months, or in some cases, 2 years, whatever, 6 months in some cases with Tottenham, do you think that they should be given full gamut on the decisions on who is hired and fired in the trade? Because these players are going to come if they sustain a full contract of 5 years, they're going to see 3 managers in that time. So there has to be some like.
Sean, I'll tell you what the biggest problem with our transfers are, because you don't have to spend hundreds and billions of pounds to get really good players. The problem we've got with our transfer window is there's no continuity in manager of playing a similar way or a similar brand of football, so that the players they inherit suit that style. They inherit a bit of an Ange attacking system, a bit of a low block Conte system, a bit of a Mourinho shithousery, and the next manager is going to inherit, if Frank isn't the manager in the next couple of months, whatever, they're going to inherit a bit of Frank's ideology. Whereas what Brighton do so well is the manager they hire is pretty similar. So the players he inherits, actually, I can work with this lot. And that's the problem we have, Sean. The profile of player we sign doesn't suit a philosophy or a club ideology. It suits the individual manager's personality. So if the individual manager's personality is different to all the others, this is why we're in this mess, in my opinion. I don't think we need to spend billions.
I agree with that.
There's no continuity.
Tottenham swing their pendulum from pillar to post every couple of years. And I thought we were done with it. I thought we were done with it. When Conte went and Stellini had gone, Dan, I'll bring you in. We went to Ange Postecoglou. And I said at the time, I said, whoever the next guy is, I don't care who it is, but whoever it is, it's the guy before the guy, because we've done this youth-centric policy. I agree with everything you just said, Stel. I think everything is logical and reasonable, what you just said. I also think it's reasonable to also expect that a club has to not just think about what the manager wants. They have to think about the reality of the situation that most managers don't work out. However, that becomes a lot easier if you stick to a philosophy. So therefore, on this basis, Dan,
100%.
If Man United have spent the last 2.5 years with Amorim, or 2 years with Amorim, the next logical cab off the rank for them is Oliver Glasner, because it's the same style of football. It's the same back 3, 4-3-2-1 thing. It's the same thing, right? So they've already built a lot of players. They haven't got the whole gamut done, but they've built a lot of players around what Amorim wants. If Amorim turns out to be the wrong guy, which it looks like he probably will be, they get Glasner in at the end of the year. Amorim's sacked in the summer. Glasner comes in, and then it's just a case of you bring the next manager in, but everything, like 80% of the work has been done, and you carry on with the same philosophy. Tottenham have gone from fucking Ange Postecoglou, the most right wing of managers you could get, and pivoted to Thomas Frank that leans left. You know, he's not like a militant left wing guy, but he certainly leans towards whatever else.
Can I pitch something to you guys?
Problematic thing, isn't it?
Can I pitch something to you guys? The other night, I was doing a watch along for another channel, and a guy called in, and he's an Olympic swimmer, and he's surrounded by Olympians, and he now runs a sports performance company to enhance the performance of an organization. And he's a Spurs fan.
The Australian guy, the Kiwi guy, Australian guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah, it's very good.
So what do you guys think? He says the best thing Spurs could do is to get an external sports auditor, not related to football, so there's no connection or biases or any influences. He comes in and does a whole audit on the club, medical, transfers,
pitching for a good contract, wasn't he? Basically,
I think he was. Yeah. But do you know what? I know Spurs did an internal audit a couple of years ago. But getting someone from the outside who has no ties to football or links to Spurs to come and give an honest, just straight to the point, this is what's going on and this is why you're performing. Do you think that's probably the best thing we could do? Because
wasn't that what Scott Munn was? Scott Munn was like, he's part of the Australian Olympic cycle team, you know, unbelievable successes in that regard, then pivots to soccer, football, whatever. Did a bit in rugby league as well over in Australia. Like, I don't know. I think that maybe, listen, I don't know, man. I got no fucking clue. But like, I feel like an external person that isn't necessarily attached to football doesn't maybe understand the nuances of football. But I don't know.
When you look at the best directors of football, they were successful professional players. When you think about it, Edu at Arsenal worked really well with Arteta, built a good squad. The directors that Manchester City have had, Cheeky and the guy they've got now. If you look at Barcelona, they bring in people like Deco. AC Milan, they bring in ex-players like Ibrahim.
Bayern Munich had Oliver Kahn, didn't they?
Yeah. And Liverpool have always done it the old boot room style, haven't they? They bring in either former players of the club or players who know what it's like to be through the system. When you look at directors of football now, such as Jason Wilcox. They understand the game and what the team needs, you know, based upon what they've experienced themselves as players and being through the whole system from youth up to adult pro. So it can be a fine line because sometimes these people come in from the outside and they're too analytical and they don't particularly understand the sport enough. It can either work really well or it just falls completely. You know, I don't know if bringing back sort of like, you know, how we used to have David Pleat, who you hear about now and then, well, he'll come out with something like, oh, I told Levy to go and sign that player. And you think, bloody hell, why didn't he listen to him?
Yeah.
Do we need someone like that who's got an affiliation with a club but really knows players well?
Yeah, David Pleat was massively undervalued by Tottenham, I think.
Yeah.
His understanding of football, his understanding of just talent was just... the amount of players that he recommended that we didn't end up snapping up. I think he said Eze was one of them. Elise was another. I think there was a player that went to, who was it? Fuck, I can't remember. I'm too tired now. But David Pleat was, I'm sure he's too old now. David Pleat must be in his, what was he, in his late 70s now?
Got to be something like that, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, the guy Arsenal hired is
the players have to change their attitude because if you could imagine, if we'd have gone for players like that, the fans would have said, oh, who's that? That's a nobody. Why are we bringing him in? Fans demand players like Mbappe, and the club's not at that level. So when they look at those types of players, the people are just dismissing them and getting on their back straight away anyway. But that brings having a good core of, a good spine. When you pleat like to brass, that's what brings me back to having a good spine.
Like to brass nearly as much. Allegedly.
John,
listen,
John,
when you
what?
these things that you have to put allegedly in the chat, mate. We've learned that from the rabbit hole stories. You have to put allegedly in everything these days. You know. Sorry,
John. I disagree a little bit with this. I'll tell you why. When we signed Van der Ven, I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And we were a lot of much better centre backs who we knew their names of were being mentioned. I'm like, who is this? But then when I watched him play, I'm like, hold on a minute, this is a good bit of scouting. I think the initial reaction, you're right. Fans will push back and say, oh, here we go. Hayden Hackney from the Championship, brilliant, great, typical Tottenham. But if he gets on the ball and starts playing and he's a baller, all of a sudden you're thinking, it's not bad, is it? I think fans, there's an initial reaction, then there's the final assessment once the player's playing for Tottenham.
Yeah.
I think
it's the lack of trust still. I think it's the lack of trust that we have with our scouting system, where it has been so piss poor, basically, that you've just got no faith in it whatsoever when, say, a not so well-known player does pop into it. Now, I'm all up for... I don't agree with going and getting, at the moment, like Archie Grays and bloody Odeberts and Tells and that, because that is not what we need. We need players that are there, ready to play now. But I think that's also down to the just complete and utter lack of how poor our scouting system has been, basically, that you just don't trust anything that they're going to bring into it. And when it comes to the way of, I agree with what you've all said, basically, in the aspect of we're sort of try sorting out one manager who plays that way, sack him.
That's the worst thing. The worst thing.
Just got his players in, and then get the new manager, and then still get players in from the other manager, and then totally swap it round again, and totally swap it round again, to the point that
isn't it just easier, Dan, just to get a balanced manager?
Well,
like a balanced manager. Just get a fucking manager that sits there and has equal part of his game dedicated to offensive football and equal part of his game like that leans a little bit proactive, leans a little bit fun, right? Like I think Marco Silva leans fun. I think De Zerbi's probably a little bit too helter-skelter, but like Pochettino, right, leans fun. Like I'm not saying I don't want someone that's like open borders, and I don't want someone that's a fucking Nazi. Yeah. I want someone that's just like leans a little bit fun. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. Like I just want.
No, it does. But
why does everything have to be a fucking extreme? Why does everything have to be an extreme these days?
Why is football at Spurs so political? Basically, you're either far left or you're far right. Basically, there's no in betweener with it as such. I mean, does that come down to the fact that I hear this story all the time? Yeah, but I didn't want Frank, or I didn't want that, or I don't like Conte because it ain't the Spurs way. Well, what is the bloody Spurs way? I mean, it's like I don't even know what this Spurs way is meant to be, and I've supported Spurs over 40 years, basically, and that, and I don't know what it's. Right, so we get a couple of flair players in there. Okay, is that the Spurs way? What is the Spurs way? Just let
ball on the deck, keep it on the deck, move it quick.
Still, you said you had an Olympic person come in and give you the opinion on it.
He gave an opinion on what Spurs need to do to increase the performance of the organisation, how to get us to where we want to be and stop being this 6th, 10th, 4th, 6th, 10th, 11th, 17th, 6th, like this wishy-washy. What are we?
Makes sense. I mean, when you said Olympic swimmer and Spurs support, I thought you were going to say something like, what's its name, like Leah Thomas or something like that. But on the thing with it is... I don't
know the names of any swimmers other than Duncan Goodhue from the 1980s.
So still, that just went straight over your head, mate. Don't worry about it.
I got it, mate. I got it. Very good, very good.
The thing is, guys...
But with that, I think we need to have a way of playing as such and then stick to it if that's the way we're going to do it. But, go on, mate, sorry.
But in terms of looking at players, let's say if Arteta left Arsenal tomorrow, if Eddie Howe left Newcastle, would you think a manager would go in and go, this is a pile of trash, I've got to get rid of half of these? Absolutely not. They've still got a fantastic spine, a core to actually put, if you want to make a couple of changes, that you can do that. But when you look at Spurs, if I was going to be brought in as a manager, I'd look at this and I'd go, Jesus, how much money have you got to give me? I'm going to need like £250 million to do something with this lot. If you want to win anything or you want to get anywhere near that top four, because so many of the mediocre clubs in terms of where they finish in the league have crept up in their squad balance. So now you're looking at competing with them, let alone trying to push like against Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, you know, they're just sprinkling more and more on each season. They can just feel, you know, more quality. They can get 2 or 3 players in every position. You look at Arsenal now; that's what they did.
Yeah.
Spurs don't even have a first 11.
Yeah.
So that's what Mourinho said, didn't he? He said, if you look at Manchester City, all those players they brought in have been long-term investments. Because
none of them were not ready for the first team when they came in. Most of them were good enough to play, but also had the ceiling space to expand into. You know,
no manager's going to come in
by players that aren't ready.
Yeah, no manager's going to come into Manchester City and go, Ruben Diaz, nah, he's not that great. Don't really like him. Bernardo Silva, nah.
The other problem is, mate, this is one of the defense mechanisms that I've always leaned into when it comes to Daniel Levy and that the criticism of him. And I get it. I get the defense. I get the criticism of him. But the defense for me is like, you're comparing apples and oranges. When Man City pick up the phone, first of all, you have owners that just say, how much do you want? Okay, that's fine. Right. I'm not going to fucking argue nickel and dime over a few million here or there. Whereas Daniel Levy for sure wants to win every debate, every negotiation, which is a problem. But they also have the wins in the bag. They've got a locker room full of trophies, which comes with the propensity. Do you want to come to Man City? Why would I come to Man City? Oh, because you're probably going to win 2 out of the 4 trophies that you can win this year at Manchester City. You're going to be in the final of most of the competitions you're in. You're going to be in a title run. In all likelihood, you're going to get a winner's medal. Even if you only play 30% of minutes, you're going to have a title to your name. At Tottenham, you don't have that. At Tottenham, you don't have that draw. And again, with the toxicity around the club at the moment, I think we're walking into a January transfer window where Daniel Lee or ENIC, a new ENIC, have got like one window to figure it out. I agree with what Johnny always has been saying about this, like, you know, because ENIC, it wasn't these ENIC that hired Thomas Frank, therefore they can make this. They can sack Thomas Frank, and it's not really on them; it's still on Levy. But I think that ENIC have got one window to show some ambition, and I worry about the toxicity at the football club right now. I think it might impact the ability to attract players in the window, and it's already difficult. If you're trying to land whales, if you are trying to land a whale into your team, it's already difficult because whenever there's a whale that becomes available, there's already bigger teams than you that are trying to get them. But even if you're competing with the second tier and Villa and Newcastle and these sorts of teams are going for those players as well, are they really going to pick Tottenham where you boo your own players?
Yeah, but the thing is,
all at home in a year. I don't know. I think this window is going to be very, very surprisingly difficult for me.
The thing is, Sean, if you're a serious club, right? If you're a club that wants to build something and you haven't won anything for a while, look at Newcastle. They probably went to a player like Tonali, right? I don't think he would have wanted to go there because it's not exactly appealing, is it, to an Italian player?
He didn't want to leave AC Milan in any means or manner, but they had to get rid of him for the money, and he's got a love for the club, and that was part of the reason why he left.
But if you want a player like, let's say that who's that guy at Juve, the attacking winger? Is it Arda Güler? Is that him? Right.
Yeah.
If you want that player, right, and he says, well, there's a couple of other teams that want me, like, why should I go to you? And you go, well, do you know what? These are the other players that we got lined up as well. And now you show you're serious. Doesn't matter what you won. You're going to offer them the money and you show them the other players and you go, look, these are the players we're also going to bring in. We've got them lined up. The contracts are ready. They're going to sign. Yeah. What do you think he's going to say? Do you think he's going to say, like, get stuffed?
I don't know. I don't know, Maddison. I've got no idea how negotiations go. I'd love to get an agent on the channel. I'd absolutely love to get like a top agent, or even an ex-agent like a Sky Andrew. I'd love to get somebody on the channel that could explain to me how these things go, because I'd love to get some insight into that. Listen, guys, we've got to round off. I've been going for over 2 hours, and it's 12:30, and we've all got to be up in the morning. Just quickly, Finn McMullen. Sorry, man, I didn't see this a minute ago. He said my point to what I said is, with no disrespect, when teams with smaller budgets are able to sign better quality, it speaks volumes on our recruitment. Ben, listen, I think we can all agree we've made some fuck ups there, my man. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. And there's no disrespect taken. I don't know where the disrespect was coming from, but listen, guys, massive appreciation to all of you. I have been plugging Spurs Corner and Hotspur Hood, and I'll do it. I'll publish them into the comment section afterwards. Stel, I'll see you on Thursday. Dan. Thank you very much for coming on. When are you next going live, mate?
Whenever I do,
Okay.
basically, I'm just erratic, like I say.
Stel, when are you going live on Spurs Corner?
Tomorrow, 8 p.m.
Tomorrow at 8 p.m. There you go. And Johnny Boy, are you going to be on with me tomorrow night on the rabbit hole?
Definitely. And Eugene as well.
Yeah, we're going to get Eugene in.
He'll be there. He says he's not sure, but he'll be there. He's not got anything better to do.
No, because he hasn't. I think he's trying to find a job or something as well. Guys, appreciate everyone in the chat. Thanks everybody. The links for all of the channels will be in the description straight after the show and in the comments as well. Appreciate everybody. Thanks again. Thanks for your super chats and come on, you Spurs. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.